Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Baseball on this Saturday morning as we get ready for Game 3 between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. And boy, Game 2 did not go the Giants' way last night. Arizona 17-1 over the Giants, 22 hits for them. They tied a franchise record. 17 runs being scored at the ballpark. I think they won off the record of that, and it got out of hand, and that's the way baseball works. The Giants come back today with Kyle Harrison, and the Diamondbacks follow up with Zach Gallen today. These are two good teams. They are. These are two good teams. Let's talk about last night a little bit. So there were things about the game that are worth mentioning. One, the matchup. It was one of those matchups made out of baseball lexicon and all the kinds of words you use about baseball and the drama. And it had Jordan Montgomery, who signed so late with the Arizona Diamondbacks in that one-year deal, as he was a Boras client and he wasn't getting the 4 or 5 years that he wanted. He was a big star last year. Dusty Baker told me when we talked to him in spring training, he said, this dude can pitch. And, boy, he can pitch. He's very good. And he went to the minor leagues for his rehab starts to get ready for the season. And he got knocked around in Reno. And then, of course, he comes out last night and goes 6 innings, 4 hits of 1-run ball, and leaves and gets the win in his first start. On the other side of the coin, it's Blake Snell, the other Boras client who held out for the entire part of spring training. The Giants signed him and added him to what is going to be an outstanding rotation. Believe me, it's going to happen. There's no problem. He's healthy. It's a question of getting his pitches in the right spot. And for Blake Snell, he's 0-3 now. And it looked to me, his first 3 innings looked really good. And I thought he was going to get out of the 5th inning, and that's when the game was broken open by the Diamondbacks. And they were all over him in the 5th inning. I thought he was going to get out of that inning and just bounce that curveball and, put the ball down and jam a hitter or something like that. And it just didn't happen. It was almost like they were reading his pitches, which happens sometimes. And maybe they were. Maybe he became a little careless because they were all over him in the 5th inning and they knocked him out. So Blake Snell, 4 2/3 for him, 9 hits, 5 runs. No homers last night. Of course, there was only one for the Diamondbacks and a long home run for the Giants for their only run last night from Soler, who blasted one 108 miles an hour, 410 feet down that left field line, right over the wall where they keep the vehicles and the emergency vehicles and all that stuff. And I think he almost knocked it into the parking lot out there. Soler, that was the one run the Giants got. So for Snell, it's sort of back to the drawing board again. He'll get the Mets on Wednesday, probably against Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea pitched last night for the Mets against the Dodgers and ended up nice game. I don't know if he got the win last night, but the Mets no, he didn't get the win because the Dodgers tied it up 4-4. But the Mets did win at 9-4, and we'll see Sean Manaea and Blake Snell next Wednesday. When the Mets come in. The Mets come in for 3. But the Mets beat the Dodgers last night. Look, I've said this before. This race is wild this year. Arizona is a very good team. We saw it last night. We saw they're a different team than they were in the beginning of last year. This is a team that can hit. They've got a good bullpen. And they've got serious starting pitching, just like the Giants do. This is going to be a good race. Yamamoto had a quality start last night, but still not what we thought. Gavin Stone goes for the Dodgers today. Walker Buehler had a setback in his rehab, so we don't know what's going to happen with him. So the Dodgers at 12-10 are not putting anyone away right now, and let's see how it works out. I still say their pitching is an issue, and that is going to be an issue for them. They have a great offense, let's face it. You have that offense and you flip that lineup. Mookie Betts had 5 for 5 the other day. Ohtani is hitting the heck out of the ball. And Freddie Freeman, not quite yet, but Will Smith's hitting it well, and Muncy and everything else. They can score, but the question is they're starting pitching. So we'll see where that goes for the Dodgers. But it's a good race. It's a good race. And today it's Zach Gallen for Arizona. He's a fabulous pitcher. And you look at the trades of baseball. The Cardinals had Zach Gallen. They had Sandy Alcantara. Come on. And they traded him to the Marlins for Ozuna, who's just killing the ball right now for Atlanta. It's the only good thing that's happening for Atlanta, other than Travis d'Arnaud, the brother of Chase d'Arnaud, who the Giants had. The guy hit 3 homers last night, including a slam. And wait till you hear the names of other brave catchers who've hit 3 homers in a game. Goes back to Dale Murphy, goes back to Gene Oliver. Bruce and I will talk about this later on in the show today. But so much going on in baseball. But Zach Gallen gets traded to the Marlins, and then he gets traded to Arizona for Jazz Chisholm. How about that? And here he is being a star with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So he goes today, and he goes against the lefty Kyle Harrison, who is, got to keep the ball down a little bit and use that changeup and get people off balance. It's a day game at Oracle. The ball's going to travel well today. The weather should be decent, I would hope, and we'll see what happens. But it's a good matchup. It's what baseball's all about. You get walloped 17-1. You get crushed yesterday. Your bullpen goes 4 1/3, 13 hits, 12 runs, 11 earned, a homer, 4 walks and 2 strikeouts. And you come back the next day and you're in a 2-1 game. And then tomorrow it's another one. It's Merrill Kelly, who is the giant killer, and he goes against Jordan Hicks, who still is the best pitcher I've seen for the Giants this year. Logan Webb was fabulous Thursday night, but Hicks has been dominating. But you got to be careful not to overuse Hicks. The Giants have to be careful with him. He showed a little bit of signs of not quite having the command in his last start. So we'll have to see how that goes for the Giants tomorrow. But it's Jordan Hicks and Merrill Kelly tomorrow. So this is what it's going to be. And I'll say it again, the Giants' rotation is going to be solid. Keaton Wynn pitched a great game against the Marlins. Cobb has had that little setback in the shoulder and the elbow, so who knows when he's going to be ready. Robbie Ray is still coming back. And once you get into that part of the season where that 5-man rotation goes all the time, good things happen. And that's what's going to happen for the Giants, so don't worry about it. They're playing good defense. Chapman catches everything. And every time he does, he throws a strike to first base, hits the first baseman right in the chest. He backed up on a ball last night that went over his glove. You don't see him do that too often. Ahmed hits the ball, and he catches everything at short. He's fine. Strada is who he is, and he's not the greatest range in the world, but he's solid at second base. And then at first base, I think Wade should be playing more. I like Flores off the bench, to tell you the truth. I like Flores, and my dear friend Rick Smith loves him. Thinks he should play more. I like him as a weapon off the bench. I really do. And I'd let Lamont Wade stay out there. He's starting to hit lefties a little better. He is one of the better hitters that the Giants have. But for me, as we wrap it up, Susan Slusser is next with us here. If you're watching on the live stream, that's me, absolutely, in my office here. You can see my bookcase in the background there and a picture of my grandson Noah. But the guy for me is Lee, Jung-Hoo Lee. He's a cult hero already at the ballpark, and he's a good ball player. And he stopped pulling the ball, hitting those ground balls to second. Now he slaps the ball through the left side. He catches everything in center field. He's still got the learning curve, but for me, if you had to say who's the MVP of a 9-12 team so far, for me it's Lee. He's been a pleasure, and I look forward to his at-bats. I really do. He's tough, and I like the way he plays, so that's what we got going on there. So, good game today, 17-1 last night. The other thing I'll talk to Susan about is, they are carrying Landon Roop, they are carrying Tang, and they are carrying Avila, and Eric Miller's starting to pitch a little more now in leverage situations. But those are 3 spots on the pitching staff, and they're really rookies as middle relievers, and it's tough to carry them. And they may have to adjust something in that middle relief area with these 3 guys. You just can't carry them if they can't really come into some leverage situations. Otherwise, you're going to overwork the bullpen. So that's something to talk to Susan about of the Chronicle. All right, more coming up. We've got Giants baseball today. We've got a good show for you. Mark A. Simon says, Mark Simon, Sports Info Solutions. Bruce Jenkins will be with us. Steve Gilbert, who covers the Diamondbacks for MLB.com. And Tyler Kepner, one of the outstanding baseball writers. He writes for The Athletic. He's in New York today. John Sterling's retirement. And he has a very interesting column that he has once a week now called Sliders. And we'll talk to Tyler about that and more right here, KNBR 680 1045. Nice to see you today. The sports leader. Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter. Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship. All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball today on this beautiful Saturday. Joining us is Susan Slusser, who covers baseball in the Bay Area, including the San Francisco Giants. Susan, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Marty. I'm great. How are you?
Well, very good. What did you think about last night? Holy cow.
I swapped nights with John Shea, and I got to say, I got the raw end of the deal on that one. That was not the most fun game ever to watch or cover, but interesting, really, in the aftermath. Because, I asked, did you have the opportunity to go to AAA like Jordan Montgomery did? And he said, yeah, but I didn't think I needed it, and I still don't. So I thought that was an interesting response, and the Giants agreed with him, apparently.
Well, for the first few innings, he looked solid, and then I thought he was going to get out of the fifth inning. I really did, and then they just jumped on him like they knew what was coming. So I thought for a few innings he looked like Blake Snell.
Yeah, and, Bob Melvin thought he looked a little tired at the end, up to 85. That's the most pitches he's thrown. He did, we keep hammering it maybe a little too hard, but he missed essentially all of spring training. So probably to be expected. And he's a guy who has a track record of being a second-half guy. Like, people keep saying, he's a slow starter, If you look at the numbers, it's not like he's had horrible Aprils, with really just one exception when he first got to San Diego. It's just that he's such an extremely strong finisher, which, if I had to pick one or the other, that's what I'd pick.
Yeah, I like what I see with him, and I think it's going to work out. On the other hand, and this is why baseball is beautiful, what's going to happen today, Zach Gallen and Kyle Harrison, we could have a 1-0 game. But Thursday night, Logan Webb showed the old Logan Webb from last year. I mean, he really put it together Thursday night. I think it's worth a comment.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anybody's surprised. That's Logan Webb. I mean, talk about starting off a little bit slow and kind of, I think this team just in general is a little bit still gelling, maybe to be expected after so many late additions and changes and things like that. New coaching staff, or at least sort of half a new coaching staff. They're getting their feet under them. They also came out of the gate with San Diego, at LA. They came home, faced the Padres right again. This is a team that should be able to play those top teams in the NL West, and Snell is one reason because he's had such good numbers. But that's not necessarily the easiest way to start a season. And remember, too, that both those teams had actually opened earlier and started spring training earlier as a result because they went to Korea.
Yeah, good point. If anyone can have an MVP on a 9-12 team, I guess the Giants can. And my nomination is Lee. I think Lee has been terrific. I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah, I love him. He really is fun. He's kind of got everything. He's maybe not quite a high-tool player, but he's got so many skills and a big personality, which I love, especially at that position. I think he's going to be a good one for a long time and a fan favorite. You know what? I would also say he's not hitting, but I would say Matt Chapman. He has just been, outrageously great at third base. And Nick Ahmed has been very quietly exactly what they needed and wanted.
Yeah, no, I agree. I made a comment in my open about Flores. I like Flores off the bench. I think he's such a weapon late in the game. I'd let Lamont Wade play more. Lamont Wade's only got like 45 at-bats, and the others are up to 67, 75 at-bats already. I'd bring Flores off the bench.
I don't dislike that idea at all. Lamont's been swinging kind of the bat as well as just about anybody on the team. He seems like very much on a mission this year. He always does. Like, he's very intent, very focused, not a harder worker in there. But this year he seems even more like he's on a mission, which I love. I like the idea of having him in there more rather than less. And the one guy who's never going to mind about coming off the bench is Wilmer Flores. I mean, he's kind of like an ideal bench guy. He really is. If you could draw one up, it would be him.
Right field. Slater hits those balls to right all the time, and he's hitting the ball fairly hard down the line, and they're just catching him. Yaz has got a big hit in Miami and broke that game open a little bit, and had the hit Thursday night as well in the eighth inning. What about right field? I'm just, you'd like to see a right fielder who could do some real damage in those corners.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about this when it comes to Montes, who has not actually been faring all that well at AAA. They don't really have options right there that I think are an automatic change. What they need is better production from Yaz and Slater. And in Yaz's case, it's been a couple of down years, He gives them a lot defensively. You look at the overall numbers, and he's an asset. And same with Slater, and Slater just murders left-handed pitching usually. He looks like but they both had kind of slow starts to the spring. Slater's coming off of elbow surgery. Yaz had a few things. I would like to see them both fully healthy and doing what we know they can do. But I'm sure they're just as frustrated as everybody kind of watching. But I don't see any, big bopping right fielders available or an option right. Especially a left-handed hitter, which is what they need in Matos. The problem with Matos is he's right-handed.
Yeah, and it's too early. You want to give 100 at-bats, in a season before you do anything. But there is a little bit of concern there. You'd like to see something coming out of right field. The backup catcher, boy, he is having a heck of a time doing anything right, isn't he? This Tom Murphy?
Yeah, it kind of almost culminated there with the pitch clock violation.
What was that all about? Yeah, what happened there?
I don't know. I didn't see him afterwards. I would have asked him really quickly. That's just a rough night, and combined with being behind the plate for not necessarily the best night on the pitching staff, that was a rough one. This is a guy who, talk about hard work. I've never seen anybody like this guy. He is just constantly working. Maybe too hard. Maybe he needs to ease up a little bit because he looks off. He looks like either he's trying too hard or I don't know what's going on there, but he does not seem right.
Yeah, the other thing I saw last night, and of course, look, things vary from game to game, but they are carrying 4 rookies on that pitching staff. Now, Eric Miller's starting to get some leverage action here. He's throwing 100. He's throwing really well. The other 3 kind of are, when there's trouble, if we're losing, we'll put you in. And that's Tang and Roop and Avila. And they got just crushed last night. And can you carry 3 players like that on a pitching staff?
Well, they won't probably after starting tomorrow. I think Luke Jackson is probably back tomorrow. So someone comes out, and I guess maybe Avila. Tang gives them some length, but, he's a little tapped out right now. Maybe they make 2 moves there. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the other guys that they have in the minors, particularly Mason Black, but I don't think we're going to have that happen anytime soon. And then it's still like a bunch of inexperience. So until Alex Cobb's back and then Robbie Ray joins the rotation in the second half, this is what they've got to work with.
Yeah, Cobb had a little bit of a setback. How do you feel about that? Is it serious? How does he feel? What do you think?
He doesn't seem to be overly concerned about it. I think he was going so hard, so all out, which the team kept saying, dial it back a little. And he's just not capable of that, which I applaud, but in this case, it didn't really help. It's just kind of almost like a sort of mid-spring training kind of ouchy stuff more than anything. The MRI was fine. He was feeling good yesterday. He played catch. He's going to throw off the mound today. I'm not overly concerned about that, but, he's 36 and coming off a hip surgery.
Yep, off the mound today. Good information from Susan. The rotation will carry them. That's my feeling. That's going to be the story of the season. This rotation will carry them. You wrote some really good stuff this week. I want to touch on some of it. One, you got to talk to Brandon Crawford when the Cardinals came in. What about that?
Yeah, I think he's frustrated. He's not playing very much. He's not complaining about it. And he said, this is what I signed up for. But he's just not playing at all. And this is a guy who's played every day his entire life, basically. And that's got to be a little bit tough. But I really, really like the fact that he is there and mentoring. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with their roster, They've got a couple guys coming back off the IL. If Crawford is still not playing a lot, you've got to think he's somebody who's potentially in danger of losing a roster spot. If that's the case, and St. Louis picks up some of the deal, or if he's, goes through waivers, etc., I'd love to see him in Oakland. I really would. I've been saying that for a long time. He'd be a great mentor type. Half that team seems like they're former Giants at this point. But somebody like Nick Allen, Hernandez, like they got a lot of young infielders who could really benefit from playing with Brandon Crawford.
Well, good call. Very good call. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, that may happen because Edman is going to be coming back, and that would be the spot because the kid who's playing short is not coming out. Win. Nope. He is really terrific. Then you wrote about Mason Miller. Very good stuff about Mason Miller. Look, the guy throws 103. He throws the ball harder than anyone in baseball, and he is turned into like a premier closer. But there's a whole story that goes with him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has gone through a lot. Starting with the fact that he had a UCL sprain last year. We know it's not like those go away, and that is, I think, the kind of one concern. That's why he gets moved into a relief spot to take some of the workload away. But he's throwing 104, so that's really impressive. But also, a little bit of a concern in my mind. This is a special talent, and I love him as a closer. He could be a dominant closer type, absolutely, kind of is right now, with very little experience doing it. But he's also a guy who had a job that he was going to take in finance. He's got a master in business administration, and then he took a fifth year of eligibility after COVID and kind of really got discovered then. Some teams had eyes on him, but that he really kind of came to the fore as he won school with that extra year of eligibility. And, he got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes right around there, too. Yeah, and he put on a lot more weight after finally getting diagnosed. So he is fascinating. And, I mean, this won't surprise you. He's got an MBA. He's super smart.
Yeah, I think it's a good look. This kid is good. I saw him pitch in the fall league, and believe me, as soon as I saw him, I said, "This is legit." But he was going to be an accountant. Come on, how about that? Now he's a closer in the big leagues. And the other one is Jock Peterson. Look, he's here. What's the reaction from Jock? What's he saying? Is he happy in Arizona?
Yeah, he's hitting up a storm. I only talked to him briefly, but man, he looks happy. He looks great. He looks like he's in really, really good shape. And smiling from ear to ear. I think that's a really good spot for him. I'm really happy for Jock. He's, had a couple of frustrating years with the Giants, and I think he's kind of found a good home, and he's being used really well. I like what he's doing.
Susan, any frustration around the ball club at all, or around Bob Melvin here? Look, it's 21 games. We have 41 more to go. There's so much baseball left. Is there any, come on, we want to pick it up a little bit?
Well, I'm sure there is, but it's April. We're 3 weeks in.
Yep.
I don't think that there's any panic, but sure, nobody likes to lose 17-1.
Really, that was something last night. All right, a pleasure having you on today, and we've got Kyle Harrison today, and Hicks tomorrow, and Gallen and Kelly, and I think we've got a summer of these kind of matchups for the Giants. That's what's going to carry them. Agree?
Absolutely. So it sounds like a plan. Thanks,
All right.
Marty.
All right. Always a pleasure. Thanks, Susan. Have a good day. Thank you. All right. That is Susan Slusser. Always a pleasure to have her on, and she's got a big day today. Look, Zach Gallen is a terrific pitcher. And, of course, Kyle Harrison has got to keep the ball down. I think I was looking up some of his numbers and chatting a little bit with Raph about it. For Kyle Harrison, 23 innings pitched this year, 25 hits, 12 runs given up, but 5 home runs. And he likes to pitch at the top of the strike zone. And when you do that, and if it's not perfectly in the top of the strike zone, you're going to get taken out of the park. And in his career, 57 innings and 13 home runs. So it's got to change. You can't do that. This Arizona team, one thing about baseball, when you score 17 runs and get 22 hits, it's contagious. And, they come in today saying, hey, we can hit anybody. So Harrison's got his hands full today. not to walk people and to keep the ball in the park. And Zach Gallen, Giants have gotten on base against him in the past. I was looking it up today. Conforto, 5 for 15 with a homer. Conforto slowed down a little bit. Estrada, 6 for 15. Wade and Yaz 7 for 21, so maybe he can get something going today. But Zach Gallen is not going to give you a lot. And Harrison and Gallen, this is a good matchup today. So we've got action. And this is the way it's going to be all summer long with this rotation. I'll say it again. But as Susan said, Luke Jackson probably back this week. And I think there'll be another move in the pitching staff as well. I think something else will come as well this week. All right, more coming up. Next, we have a good show for you today. And Steve Gilbert, who covers the Diamondbacks, is going to talk with us. But next up is Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. We always have fun with him, so stick with us. I love the live streaming. It's fun. And if you have any comments, Raf can relay them to me. You can type them in, and we'll do more right after this. All right, joining us is Grant Power. He is the president and CEO of Nations Restaurants. Grant, the menu at Nations, I love it. I've been talking about it for over 20 years. Tell us a little bit about the menu 2024 in Nations.
As Nations Giant Hamburgers, without a doubt, what we're most famous for are our burgers. Our bacon cheeseburger, our hamburger, however you like it, cooked to order. Do you want the lettuce, the tomatoes, the onions? Do you want extra sauce? Do you want the onions grilled? However you want it. Our only rule is we need to make it perfect for you. Our wild salmon, way too many people are not aware that we have it. I like all of our burgers. If you want it lettuce wrap or on a wheat bun, whatever you want, we will make it exactly as you want it. We do breakfast, the French toast, the omelets, the pancakes. We have a huge historical Portuguese influence in our company, so we have linguiça sausage. And our pies, obviously. French apple is a monthly special at the time, but whether it's cheesecake, chocolate cream, banana cream, coconut cream, lemon meringue, pumpkin, pecan, berry pie, if you want it heated up, a la mode, however you want it, that's how we're going to make it.
Wow, I love it. Nations, what a fabulous menu. I'll see you there.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
Fans, you just heard the greatest introduction in radio, which means that Mark Simon is with us of Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter, Mark, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, doing well. Look, I told everybody, watch out for the Giants. They've got that pitching rotation. They throw someone out every single day, and I think it's going to stay that way for the year. But they do take on an Arizona team that can match them pitcher for pitcher. And let's start with this one in today's matchup, which is Zach Gallen, who's fabulous, and the kid, Kyle Harrison. How about that one?
Yeah, so start with Zach Gallen, who I think if you're doing like a preseason prediction kind of thing, is a good guy to take as your potential Cy Young winner, whether it be this year or next year or such. He does seem to have it pretty well figured out at this point. He's in the prime of his career at age 28. 4 starts this year, ERA of 1.6. The strikeout to walk home run combination suggests an ERA of about 1.9, so that's excellent. Striking out better than 10 per 9. Thing that's been good for him this year in particular, watch out for the nasty knuckle curve, which looks like a strike for a long ways, and then it dips just below the strike zone. So you got to be ready for it when it comes, ready to take it. The 4 seam's pretty good too, even though he doesn't necessarily throw it that hard. It's kind of the same thing as Kyle. Kyle doesn't necessarily throw his 4 seam that hard, but he gets it up in the zone very effectively, 93, 94 miles per hour. I feel like at this point, 50-ish innings into his career, we kind of know what he's got. He's got a pretty good fastball. He leaves the changeup over the plate maybe a little too much, and that gets him in trouble sometimes. We saw last year he had some troubles kind of oddly with left-handed hitters. Probably needs one more pitch at this point, but still 4 starts, 3 quality starts, and I think he's been pretty good. He's living up to what I think they want him to be.
Yeah, this is a good one with Kyle Harrison. And, you know, you bring up something good with kind of the home runs and lefties hitting him a little bit more than righties. Why is that? Why do lefties seem to do better against him?
I don't think I have an answer for that. I feel like you need a pitching coach to kind of figure that out. But it is unusual. And, again, I think it kind of goes back potentially to the idea that he doesn't necessarily have 3 or 4 good pitches at this point. He's basically got like 1, and then occasionally he throws the other ones, then he throws the changeup a decent amount. I think he's still in need of a little bit of development, even if that comes at the major league level.
All right, let's talk a little. Mark Simon with us. Look, the Arizona Diamondbacks, hey, they won the pennant. It's hard for me to say it, but I saw it. They won the pennant over the Phillies, and they were in the World Series. I saw that against Texas. What is it about this team that all of a sudden, you know, a team that was so streaky during the season of 2023, all of a sudden puts it together, and now they're a force?
Yeah, go figure on that. I think that a chunk of it is certainly credited to the fact that they do have some pretty good pitchers, and whether that's Kelly or Gallen, or as we saw in the postseason last year, it hasn't necessarily fully played out yet, but Brandon Pfaadt, to an extent. They were also very good at the end of games in that little run that they had at the postseason last year, which is a little different because they don't have Sewald at this point. But Sewald was very good for them, other than the home run that he allowed, the big home run that he allowed in the World Series. But I think you have to give credit to the pitching, and I think you have to give some credit to some of the younger guys. And also, like, Ketel Marte, I think, is better than people think in a lot of cases. They got contributions from a few different people in that postseason. He had a nice one. And Corbin Carroll, despite the struggles to start this season, I think is a future superstar, if he's not already. I think he showed that he was a superstar last year, and I think he'll eventually get to that point this year.
Boy, great series. It really is a good series. The other part is Gabriel Moreno, the catcher.
Yep.
And I saw some stat today, which is unbelievable to me, of stolen bases against him. I mean, you just don't run on this guy. What's the story with Moreno? Is he that good?
Yeah, he has a pretty good cannon. He's only had 4 attempts in, what is it? This is on a day before, but 4 attempts in the 119 innings that he had caught to this point. That's great. I think the pitchers have a little something to do with that too. I think Gallen and Kelly do a good job of limiting that. They're going to add Jordan Montgomery, who is a little prone to the stolen base. So they add him on Friday. And I think part of it is the fact that he's got a pretty good arm back there. The other part of it is that the pitchers do a nice job.
Okay, all right, that's something to keep watching because you don't win without a real solid defensive catcher, especially in today's game where they're running like crazy. So Moreno is it for me. Mark Simon is with us. Let's look at Sunday very quickly here. And, boy, I looked at this one. My goodness, Jordan Hicks against Merrill Kelly. Merrill Kelly just eats up the Giants. And Jordan Hicks, Mark, I said it in spring training, this guy is the best pitcher that I had seen in Arizona. And if somehow his arm can stay on for the season, he's been terrific.
Yeah, he really has. The last time out, he had he kind of reverted back to his issues of the past. So far, the splitter has been good. The sweeper has been good. He had trouble throwing them for strikes in his last start, and I will be curious to see if that becomes kind of a trend for him where teams kind of pick up on it a little better now that he's pitching more innings than he would have pitched, in previous years, pitching 5-6 innings a game. He becomes easier to pick up. And I think that would be my key point for him.
Okay.
Merrill Kelly is just, I think, has established himself since the start of 2022, really, as a 180 to 200 inning guy who can post a low 3 ERA. Doesn't necessarily have to blow you away. Isn't necessarily going to give up a ton of hard hit contact. And he's off to a pretty good start this year. Although the strikeout Walt Kepner stuff would tell you his ERA should probably be a little higher than its current 2.19, and maybe that means that the Giants get him on Sunday.
Well, runners in scoring position for Merrill Kelly, 1 for 10. How about that? I like,
that'll lead you to a 219. That's for sure. 219 ERA.
That's one of my stats. And for Hicks, runners in scoring position, 4 for 21. So the Sunday's going to be a good game too. Mark, no pun intended here, but we've had some tragic losses this week in the baseball family. And I want to talk about the ball first of all. Have they deadened the baseball? And I watched that. I watched this series with the Giants and the Marlins, and there were a ton of balls hit to the track that didn't get out. And now they're starting to write about, well, maybe we're back to 2022 when they allegedly deadened the ball. Is that back?
I think it's funny that you're asking me as if I would know. I don't know. I really don't. I did look at the April stats compared to last year, and you can see it. But I think the question for me would that just be like Acuna is having a little hard time getting warmed up, and Julio Rodriguez is just having a hard time getting a little warmed up, and Corbin Carroll's having a little bit of a hard time getting warmed up? Or is that something more? I feel like I need more than a couple of weeks of the baseball season to make that judgment. Although if you do look at like April last year versus first couple of weeks this year, it does give you pause. I do think that some of it also is like the last week or 10 days that have been a little rough. We'll see. I don't make proclamations on anything generally 2 weeks into the season.
Well, it's early. I know that, but there are a lot of balls going to the warning track lately, so we'll see what happens here this weekend. But baseball did lose some of their icons, and a couple. Just get some of your thoughts about Whitey Herzog, the Hall of Fame manager. Of course, managed the Kansas City Royals in the late 70s. Just couldn't beat the Yankees, and then put together the speed demon teams of the St. Louis Cardinals. Whitey Herzog, Mark.
Yeah, so of the ones that we're going to talk about, this is the one I feel like I know best. I know two real, true rivalries in my lifetime that I hold really close to my heart, and that's Mets-Cardinals of the 80s and then Knicks-Bulls of the 90s. And Mets-Cardinals of the 80s is largely shaped by Willie McGee and Ozzie Smith and Whitey Herzog and Andy Van Slyke and all of those players. And I think some of the things that you're reading this week are about how Whitey Herzog was ahead of his time as a manager. He was very smart. He knew how to build teams as a general manager that fit where his team was playing, Kansas City and St. Louis, where he wasn't going to hit a lot of home runs. He was a smart manager. He could have been the manager of the 73 Mets, I guess, if things had broken right. He became kind of like an old schooler in that he managed and GM'd those Cardinal teams. And The aggressiveness of the stolen base, like if you were going to ask me for a number for him, I would say like 300 is the number for him, because the Cardinals cleared 300 stolen bases as a team in one or two of those years. And really that 85 team, the 1985 Cardinals that lost to the Royals in the World Series, that was a terrific team that just got a really bad break in Game 6 of the World Series. That team should have won the World Series and might have been the best team that he had.
The White Rat, Whitey Herzog, Yep. Hall of Fame manager for sure. Traded Keith Hernandez, traded for Ozzie Smith and Willie McGee for the great Bob Sykes of the New York Yankees. I'll never forget that trade. All right. Big day in New York today, and that is the retirement ceremony for the great broadcaster. And I love him. I love him. I love listening to him. And some of the players have come out this week and talked about how they would have the radio broadcast on in the clubhouse just to hear John Sterling and his home run calls. John Sterling, and you're near New York, and I know that you have thoughts about John Sterling.
I do. It's funny, like there was a time, and this is maybe like 15, 20 years ago, where to me it got kind of silly. Like he was way over the top. In my mind, he was way over the top. And, with some of the names that he would bestow upon players and the energy with which he would broadcast home runs, even if it was like 9-1. But I think in the last 5 to 10 years or so, I've gotten a much greater appreciation for him. And all it is like he's doing what he learned as a kid. And what he learned as a kid was Mel Allen. He talks about listening to the 1947 World Series, the 1950s Yankees. And he grew up with a broadcaster that had great enthusiasm on home runs, that was the voice of the team, that had like this personality to him. And John Sterling just embodied that in his own way over the last, 30-odd years with the Yankees, previously with the New York Islanders, the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Braves, all that. I always think of the Rick Camp home run in the 18th inning against the Mets in 1985, where he says, if he hits one out, this will be the wackiest, wildest Major League game in history. And Rick Camp hit one out, and John Sterling said, this is the wackiest, wildest, most improbable game in history. So kudos to John Sterling for knowing to go out kind of on top here. At age 85, I hope I am in as good of a physical and mental state in my 80s as John Sterling was to do those games. And the guy had the fantastic voice, too. I think that's kind of a cool thing about him as well.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. And I like the Mel Allen comparison. A White Owl blast. And when I grew up, that's what I used to hear. A Ballantine blast, a White Owl cigar. And Mel Allen was known for his way of describing baseball. And John Sterling, very much like that. Good comparison by Mark Simon here. Let's go back to the Giants for a second. They have a cult hero already at the ballpark in Jung-Hoo Lee. He's got people sitting behind home plate. When you got to move a guy over, he slaps it to the left side. He'll drive it to the outfield when you got to drive one in. He's becoming a factor. I'll say this, I am a little bit I exaggerate. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Hyperbole, I was going to say, but I think he's the MVP of the team right now.
I had a feeling that if he got off to a good start, that he would be very warmly embraced, and I think it's kind of cool that's happened, and that you saw it in particular on Thursday, and I'm sure you'll see it throughout this homestand. But what's happened in the last week, 10 days for him is teams are pitching him away like crazy, and he's just like, yeah, okay, no problem, just gonna slap it, as you said, and he's getting he's not getting hits on pitches that are down the middle. All his hits are pitches that are like outside or inside. So I think it's just funny once he gets some cookies that he can hit. I think you might see the batting average jump some more if he can be this good against pitches that are away as he's been these last 7 to 10 days. But yeah, plus he can go. It seems like he can go catch it at this point. And yeah, I think he's off to the kind of start that you'd like.
Yeah, fans love him, too. Wilmer Flores, and, on Thursday night, here comes the moment. Michael Conforto coming up. The lefty is brought in to face him. The bases are loaded. The game hangs in the balance. and Bob Melvin has said, I'm going to let Conforto hit, and I'm going to stay with my guys. Well, he looked down the bench, and there was Wilmer Flores. And they put him in, and, of course, he smacked a double, and the Giants take the lead and eventually go on to win. Wilmer Flores, boy, look, he was a Met. You saw him.
Yep.
What do you think?
Another guy that's been wonderfully embraced by the city, and I think that's really cool because he was wonderfully embraced by New York as well. And it's funny, so the other night, I guess it was Wednesday, he had a couple of big spots. Like he had one in the ninth inning, and he had one earlier in the game where I think he hit into a double play. And I had given Dave and John a stat about how if you look at like the most important situations in games, since Wilmer became a Giant, that if you rank the hitters by, I think I used OPS, and Dave's reading the list on the air as Wilmer comes up, and it's like Shohei Ohtani and Yordano Alvarez and all of the best hitters in baseball, and then they're sitting in the ninth spot in this top 10 list is Wilmer Flores, which I thought was kind of cool. But in the end, it kind of played out how it should play out. He's not going to get that big hit every time, but if he gets that big hit 1 out of 3 times, you are going to like Wilmer Flores quite a lot in clutch situations, as you did on Thursday night.
Boy, he does it. All right, very quickly, we got a minute to go. The Mets are coming in on Monday. What do you think?
So they swept the Pirates. They seem to have gotten back on track. They've gotten some big hits. The Pirates kind of stumbled all over themselves in a couple of the games. They got a nice win last Sunday late last Saturday, I guess, late against Kansas City, where they stuck together a bunch of hits. They're still missing some people. They're still, I think, thin in their starting rotation, but they have fixed things from that really bad start that they had.
Giants should take a hard look at Pete Alonso. That's my hope. Take a good look at Pete Alonso. He may be a free agent, I have a feeling. Hey, Mark, always a pleasure. This was fun today. Very good. I appreciate it.
Yep, you got it.
All right, that is Mark Simon, Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter. More coming up right here at KNBR 680, 104.5, the sports leader. Hi, it's Marty Lurie heading out to River Islands for a sneak preview of the newest neighborhood being built at the most successful master planned community in Northern California. Kuiper Homes is having a preview showing of its new Capri neighborhood, and I want to make sure I check out all the floor plans and elevations while the models are still being built. Wow. The homes will have 3, 4, 5 bedrooms, up to 3,200 square feet of space. It's plenty. Just perfect for growing families. Best of all, Capri is going to be built around a lake, which makes for great views and, lots of fun. There's so much going on at River Islands this year with more parks, more model homes being built, and River Islands High School getting ready to open its new campus. Prices at River Islands range from the mid-600,000s to over $1 million. The best place to start your tour is online at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? You know it is for me. Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco. All right, great to have you back with us. We've got a good one today. Zach Gallen and Kyle Harrison, Game 3 between the Giants and the Diamondbacks, the NL West. Boy, what a race. Bruce Jenkins joins us. Bruce, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. Well, if you look at the last 2 days of baseball with the Giants, it's what baseball's all about. Logan Webb goes out there, retires 19 in a row. They win 5-0. They break it open in the 8th inning. And yesterday, as my friend Michael Gaines would say, they get schmeiced by the Diamondbacks 17-1. Come on. That's baseball.
What a thing. Yeah, I mean, who can call something like that? Rough outing for Blake Snell. I didn't think he was horrible. He's a little bit off. You can see the stuff is there. Not on every pitch. A couple of pitches got too much plate. A couple of good pitches were hit, and it just was kind of an all-around disaster of an evening. And, when Blaze Alexander is the star of the night, anything can happen.
Well, as I said to Steve Gilbert, I think when I chatted with him, Blaze Alexander sounds like a burlesque queen.
It sure does.
Yeah. Really, when I grew up in Miami Beach, that's what. But the guy hit one out in right, hit a slam. And Arizona, look, Bruce, they're a good team. This is not a team last year that started the season, was awful and streaky during July. Remember how many games they lost in a row? They're a good, solid team. They are.
They are. They're coming off the World Series. And, it just it tells you how well Logan Webb really was. Just, 24 hours earlier, he pitched a masterpiece against these guys, and they showed up the way they would rather be portrayed last night. But yeah, it's a tough lineup. Up and down, they're very, very good. Corbin Carroll kind of symbolizes the team. Line drives, aggression, and they've got some power. So yeah, they're going to be right there. And when Zach Gallen goes today, he's the best pitcher on a pretty good staff. It's a good team.
Yeah, Merrill Kelly tomorrow against Hicks. So these are two good games, and as I say, the 17-1 is an aberration. The middle relief of the Giants really got hit hard yesterday, and I think they're going to have to make some adjustments there. But, we've got a good matchup today. The West is interesting. Look, I've said this, and I know I've said it earlier. The Dodgers aren't running away from anybody with that pitching staff. They're just not going to do it. I don't care how much they hit. Pitching is still the name of the game in defense, and the Mets took it to them last night.
Yeah, you look up every other day. They got to pitch a guy you never heard of, Landon Knack.
Knack
got to start. Yeah. Knack. I mean, who is this guy? I know they thought he'd have a chance to be up at some point this season, but there he is, and Stone, and they've got a lot of guys on the shelf. Yamamoto's up and down. Glasnow even had a rough outing. So yeah, I totally agree. I thought going in, the Giants just might have an edge in pitching over the Dodgers, and last night notwithstanding, I think that's going to be true.
Yeah, I think the race is good, and I want to touch on the Padres just for a second. Darvish went on the injured list, but they may be a little better than I thought. They hang in there. They look like they're playing some decent baseball.
Oh yeah, I never thought they wouldn't be anything but extremely dangerous. Anytime you have Tatis and Machado anchoring the lineup, you're going to be okay. And there's a lot of good hitters, Kim, Cronenworth. They're a relentless team, and there's a different feel about them this year. Last year they had Soto and Melvin was there, but it just never clicked. And they said the clubhouse wasn't the greatest, but they've showed up with a whole new attitude this year, and those things really matter. Losing Darvish, obviously that hurts. Pitchers are going down all over the place, but they're dangerous, and they're going to be right in there with the rest of them.
Yep, it's a good race. Who's the worst, though? Colorado, White Sox?
God.
Come on, the White Sox are sort of paralleling the '62 Mets again. They've scored like 38 runs in 20 games.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on there. It wasn't that long ago. You had Eloy Jimenez and Tim Anderson and Vaughn and, solid hitters up and down and some pretty good pitching. And what happened? The bottom fell out in every single category.
Yeah, everybody got hurt. Robert got hurt. Moncada got hurt. Yeah. They can't run the first base. Everyone, when they run the first base, they can't make it, and that's what happened. But, yeah, the White Sox thing, because it made me think of Colorado. Boy, Buddy Black, the nicest guy in the world, but, you're looking at 4-16 or something like that right now.
Yeah, Chris Bryant came back, finally, and he hit a home run or two, and all of a sudden his back's flaring up again. I mean, that sort of typifies, that there's so much frustration built around that team, and it's year after year. I still don't know why Bryant wanted to go there. I know it's a great place for his family, but you got to know what you're getting into when you go to Colorado. It's too bad the Giants didn't have him for a little bit longer, but they're definitely the worst in the West, and that's all the Giants have to really worry about.
Susan Slusser said something interesting earlier today about Brandon Crawford. You know, he's not playing a lot. This kid Wynn at short for the Cardinals is just terrific. Great arm, and he's hitting the ball. Tommy Edman is coming back. Maybe Crawford loses his spot. I don't know what was guaranteed to him, but she thought he'd be perfect for the A's as the mentor for the young shortstop there. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I think he's known too much glory and fan praise and titles and great baseball atmosphere. I really feel sorry for J.D. Davis. I know he wanted to go there in some ways, but there's nobody over there. There won't be anybody over there. The Coliseum, it might as well be torn down now, or it will be eventually. It's a hopeless case. They're going to Sacramento. I can't see Brandon Crawford being over there for any reason.
Okay, all right. She brought it up, and I thought it was worth it.
Let me put it this way: if they play him, then he would go there. I mean, he's in a position where he's, like you say, Mason Wynn is a tremendous all-around player. Crawford really respects him. Tommy Edman's coming back. If they say, hey, you're the shortstop instead of Nick Allen, that's a different story. But just in general, It seems pretty bleak to me.
No, he would be a mentor. That's what would happen. But they do, just to take it one step further, she did bring up this Mason Miller, who's the closer for the A's. Bruce, this guy throws 102, 103. I mean, he throws 60 pitches, 35 or 102. Something ridiculous like that. He's actually something to see.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, not only he's thrown the most 100+ pitches among all the relievers, maybe anybody. I don't know. His percentages per inning is certainly right there, and but every time you see him, you hear about this guy, and he's absolutely what you're expecting, just blowing people away. I mean, what a closer. He's going to be relative unknown with that team, and as desultory as that whole situation is, but. I really like him, and great. They're going to play some close games, and he's going to save some of them.
Yep, he's legit. It was nice to see that. A couple of things. One, Soto. I don't know if you saw his home run last night.
Oh, yeah.
He hit it in the second deck and just completely broke the game open against Tampa. And Tampa really, Bruce, I don't care. They hit a bunch of home runs against the Giants in that one game. But I'm sorry. That team just doesn't hit enough for me, and the Yankees took him apart last night. But Soto, he is made for New York, Bruce. He's not going anywhere. He will be a Yankee. I'll guarantee it.
Oh, I would too, and I hope that's the case. People say, well, he's going to be a free agent. He could be a free agent next year. What? Where would he possibly go from there? Yeah, I mean, to watch him, a left-handed hitter who's a bit of a showman, pumping balls into the right field seats and above it's just so classic Yankees. You can tell he's having a great time. This is a great player who's took a little bit of hit into his reputation last year. The stats were good, but he wasn't a guy who came up big enough for them. But oh my goodness, now he's got to be a Yankee for the rest of his career. It's just too perfect.
Yeah, he loves it. You could see he's excited, and they hit the home run, and he threw the bat. He did everything but a somersault. After
that could be next.
After he hit the home run, and then who comes up after him is Judge.
My goodness!
And the Yankees have a solid chance here to do something this year. They really do. So, the Soto thing was good. There's a big deal in Yankee Stadium today with the retirement of one of the great broadcasters, I think, of all time. And when you make it in New York, you make it in New York, and that is John Sterling. So I want to get your thoughts about John Sterling, and then Raph has a little clip of an interview I did with him. We could play that. So go ahead.
Yeah, I just watched the ceremony on MLB TV, and he gave a lovely speech, and the fans were way into it. This guy called 5,060 consecutive Yankee games. Wow. You don't realize the longevity of this guy and how much he's called. I mean, since the late 80s, he actually replaced Hank Greenwald on Yankees radio in 1989. Hank was back there working with Tommy Hutton in 87 and 88 after leaving the Giants, and he wasn't too happy about the way things ended in San Francisco. But he's back home in the East, but he only got 2 years of the Yanks. And next thing you know, John Sterling comes in, and he's going to be there forever. And, John Sloss was his name, by the way, born John Sloss, but he changed it when he was 19 on a little radio station in upstate New York. He figured Sterling sounds a little better than Sloss, but but he's just absolutely an institution. Of course, he's got his things. An A-bomb from A-Rod, a thriller from Godzilla. And
here comes the judge.
Yankees win. Yankees win. I mean, what is that? I mean, somehow it all works. He's one of those old guys. He's kind of from the old cornball school of Red Rush. Guys who had their sayings and stuff like that. Those guys
he sees it, he tries it, he buys it.
Yeah. We're not going to see those guys anymore. So you appreciate a guy like John Sterling, lovely man too. I spent some time with John and Susan Waldman in the booth when they came out a couple of years ago, and they're just they're music fans. They're sophisticated. They're just tremendous people, and of course she was right there today, introducing him. So it's a good day.
I love it. I'm so glad. Now we have a short clip. I did get to talk with John Sterling. Always gracious to talk.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Let's, Raf, cue it up. Let's hear a little bit of John Sterling.
It's John Sterling, the voice of the New York Yankees. What a pleasure to have him here in the Bay Area. How did you get your break to get into baseball?
Tremendous break. I had a talk show at Enterprise Radio, which was started by the people who started ESPN. It was in 1981. And I was doing the Washington Bullets. I'd done a lot of hockey and basketball and football, but I wanted to do baseball. That was my love. Enterprise went down in financial flames after about 9 months. And in one of the luckiest breaks ever, all my best friends went to Atlanta. And they went to Atlanta because a guy named Bob Wussler, who had been the head of CBS, was between engagements, as they say, and Ted Turner hired him to be his right hand because Turner was just about to unleash CNN and then CNN headlines and then, of course, later on TNT and all. And he had the Braves and the Hawks and TBS. And so Wussler went to Atlanta, and he helped bring in Joe Torre to manage baseball. Kevin Lockery, who's probably my best buddy, to coach the Hawks, and a guy who you don't know named Mike Faraday, who I was the closest to become the general manager of WSB, AM and FM. And so when Enterprise went down, Faraday hired me, and the Hawks hired me. And a year later, Wussler gave me baseball. And in 89, I got the Yankee job. And, this business is so crazy, as you know. I got the Yankee job without auditioning. Yeah, the WABC had the rights, 10 years of Yankees. And this new general manager came in, and he didn't like the broadcast. They gave me a call in September of 88. Would you be interested? And I didn't want to be an old man and say, I should have done the Yankees, So I left Atlanta. I loved Atlanta. It was a very happy cocoon. And I started in spring training of 89, and luckily I've been here ever since.
Boy, what a great story, John Sterling.
How about that? How about those pipes, Bruce?
Oh, that's what a great voice. Great radio voice. That is really one of the best. It really comes across when you're just listening to him. And I very rarely would hear him on radio. Whatever I'd see with the Yankees would be on television, and that's all good too with Michael Kay and those guys. But that's a wonderful, wonderful voice. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm so glad we could do that. Well, it's kind of a crazy week in baseball of people passing away. I just saw a couple today. One was Larry Brown. Remember Larry Brown, the infielder, played for the A's in the 70s. His brother was Dick Brown, who passed away from a brain tumor caught for the Tigers and the Orioles. But Larry Brown was an A in the 71-2 area.
Yeah, he was just ahead of they're really good teams when they get Campy at short and Dick Green at second. That pretty much locked up the infield for several years, and 3 world titles later, those guys are on top of the world. But yeah, I don't have really any clear memories of Larry Brown.
No,
I think as a basketball coach, who coached 19 teams in 18 years. But yeah, I do remember Larry Brown. He played in the big leagues, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Yep, Cleveland Indians as well. in those days. The other one, I was sorry to see this, was Dave McCarty. And, he played for the Giants. I think he played for the A's, and from Stanford. Nicest guy in the world. Young, in his 50s. He passed away.
Yeah, I remember coming out of Stanford, people thought, this guy's really going to be something. I don't think he had the career that he wanted, but good guy. Again, I don't have a lot of clear, distinct memories of McCarty, but you lose these guys and you think back and what they meant to the school, to their families, and just good people that we lose. It's always a little bit rough.
One, we have a clip of me talking with this gentleman. Another one who's a former Athletic, and he was terrific as a left-handed pitcher. He came over in the trade from the Cubs for Rick Monday, and when Ken Holtzman became part of that pitching staff with Vida and Catfish, it really made the team. But Ken Holtzman's another one we lost this week too.
Oh my goodness. 2 no-hitters. He should have had a third. I was in the bleachers at the Oakland Coliseum.
Oh, was that the Bill North one?
Yeah, he came down to Tom Verizor, the last guy standing between him and a no-hitter. He had a line drive to left center, and Billy North took the wrong route. It was right in front of me. I was out there. And I'll never forget, Holtzman turned around and he yelled at him something like, "Hey, what is the hell? There went my no-hitter." But he was like the kind of a big horse of a pitcher, strong legs and really durable. He actually broke in against the Giants in '65, and the first guy he faced was Jim Ray Hart, and he took him at deep. Wow. But then he set down Haller, Lanier, and Ken Henderson, and his career was launched. But I'll tell you one thing: if you face the all-Jewish team, your first 2 guys are going to be Koufax and Holtzman.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get Larry Sherry
to close it.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is it's a trivia question, and that would be of Jewish pitchers who had the most wins, and most people would say Koufax, but it was Ken Holtzman.
Yeah, in '66 he was matched up against Koufax, and it was the 25th of September, Yom Kippur, and neither one of those guys was in uniform on the Saturday, and they wound up pitching on the. I may be confusing this, but on the day they could have pitched, neither one was in uniform because they were honoring Yom Kippur. But they wound up facing each other the next day, and Holtzman went into the 9th inning with a no-hitter. It was broken up, but he got a complete game win over Koufax. So that's a pretty cool thing.
I love it. Well, Raph has a minute or so with Ken Holtzman, so let's hear that.
Ken Holtzman, our guest here on Memories of the Game.
Obviously, growing up in St. Louis, I was a St. Louis Cardinal fan. But when I went away to college, I went to the University of Illinois. And obviously, with meeting a lot of kids from Chicago, you become indoctrinated to the Chicago Cub mystique. And then when I was drafted in the very first free agent draft in 1965, I was drafted in the 4th round by the Cubs. And a representative from the team came and talked to us and decided this would be the time to try it in the professional ranks. And it worked out for me in the fact that the Cubs at that time really weren't that good of a team, and they decided to take a lot of their college players and move them up very rapidly through the system. I was only in the minor leagues a little over a month, got into the major leagues and stuck. So from 1965 to 1980, I was in the big leagues, 9 years of which were with the Cubs.
So when you get the call to come up, well, you're just still a young guy at that point. Who's the manager? How do you find out you've been coming up to the big leagues?
In those years, the Cubs had an experimental college of coaches, which was a rotating system where a coach would become the manager for a month or two, and Lou Klein was one of them then. I joined the team, in August of '65 and got to play with them. In fact, at the end of that year, I pitched a lot of batting practice. I only got in 4 or 5 games. I pitched batting practice in Los Angeles the night Koufax threw his perfect game because the players wanted to see what a left-hander was like. So I can remember throwing batting practice to our team and telling everybody, oh, they don't look that good tonight, and sure enough, Koufax threw a perfect game.
What a fabulous game it was, because Bobby Henley throws a one-hitter. Lou Johnson gets the only hit, but when Lou Johnson scores a run, he gets on. They move him to second. He tries to steal third. Chris Krug throws it into left field, and that's the run.
That's exactly right. Bob Henley was my roommate on that trip, and I'll never forget that. And after the game, he had lost 1-0 on a one-hit game, and we went out, and boy, he was kind of a veteran at that point, and he told me, kid, he says, that's the way life is in the major leagues. He said, you saw it happen to me. He said, it'll probably happen to you, and he was right. It didn't happen to me on a perfect game, but it happened to me quite a few times where I thought I pitched a good game and lost.
What a story. How do you like that, Bruce?
No, that's wonderful stuff. I was at that perfect game. I was in the club level at Dodger Stadium with a good buddy of mine, watching Koufax that night. And yeah, you want to see what a lefty is like? Yeah, he'll kind of look like this, but he's going to be a lot better than this. Yeah, so Billy Williams and Glenn Beckert and Ron Santo, and those guys discovered. But yeah, how about a month in the minors and he's up? Kenny Holtzman, I tell you, that's a real stud. And you know, when they had Holtzman, Vita Blue, and Catfish, I mean, forget about it. Good Lord.
Yep.
And you know, it was only a 4-man rotation with the way things were then, and great pitcher on a great team.
Yeah, put Blue Moon in there as well. Yeah, yeah. You just listen to his voice. Just his voice tells you how strong he was. Yeah, Raf, thank you so much for getting those. Bruce, one quick one here. Yusei Kikuchi, the Toronto Blue Jays. Have you seen this? Every game that he wins, when they go in the clubhouse afterwards, he brings out a $3,000 bottle of single malt Japanese whiskey called the Yamazaki, and the team drinks it with him only after he wins a game.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I want somebody with to take a video on their phone and showing the guy staggering out to the parking lot, pleasantly wasted on the fine whiskey. Yeah, that's pretty funny. And that's a great baseball thing that you can say that, and it's okay. I mean, baseball has such a colorful history. It's certainly not choir boy stuff a lot of the time, and that's just good fun. I hope it continues.
No, we've got more to talk about tomorrow, but it's like Joe Schultz saying, let's get in there and pound the Budweiser. The old manager of the Seattle.
Oh, yeah. He said a few other things that we can't say on the air. But he had a couple of beautiful 2-word sentences.
Yes, he did, and we will not mention them. All right. Pleasure. We'll talk tomorrow morning. Thanks, Bruce.
Great, Marty. Talk then.
Okay. Funny. All right.
Thank you,
Bridge Bank. I want to mention that. Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global markets services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. Fred Voss, the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. And, of course, it's part of the Western Alliance Bank. And there's a crazy story that I have this week that I almost was the victim of a scam, believe it or not. Yes, me, a scam. And I went to Bridge Bank. I was ready to take the money out. It's crazy. And Bridge Bank figured it out just by looking at the paperwork, said this is a scam. And that was the end of that. So that's what Bridge Bank, it's like a family. They take care of you, so I appreciate that. One other thing today I wanted to mention, and that is... and Raf was telling me this as well. There's a race going on. My son Aaron, he's a runner. He's running in the IPA 10K and Brewfest in Sebastopol, starting and finishing at the Barlow. Then they unwind with friends after at the Butter and Egg Festival in Petaluma. Wonder if Bug will be there from Heritage Salvage. And he's running with his friends Gracie and Wesley. So, Aaron, have fun up there. I appreciate the text from you this morning. All right, we've got more coming up. Steve Gilbert joins us. Steve Gilbert, who covers the Diamondbacks for MLB.com, is next right here on the Sports Leader. Fans, I heard from Gene Bagato up the tides in Bodega Bay, and he said that with spring weather approaching, the weather is really getting better every day, and with the change to daylight savings time, evening guests are now able to enjoy the beautiful sunsets while they dine. He also said that they're getting ready for Easter Sunday, which is coming up on March the 31st, and of course prepares a special menu in addition to the regular favorites that'll include fettuccine with lobster and a creamy lobster sauce, and of course, roast leg of lamb with Cabernet demi-glace. Then there's the Inn at the Tides, just across Highway 1, with its large updated rooms, all with views of Bodega Bay. So if you're looking to get away for just a day or a night or two, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic and gorgeous Bodega Bay. Boy, nice to be back with you. As I suspected, the Giants did make a move today. Sean Jelly is back from his rehab in Sacramento, and Kai Tang has been optioned to Sacramento. So no surprise for me. And they need Jelly, believe me. If he can do the job in that middle relief, he can take the job of two people. So there'll be more moves, I think, in that area of the pitching staff for the Giants. But Jelly is up, and I thought that was going to happen today. Steve Gilbert joins us. He covers the Diamondbacks for MLB.com. Steve, it's great to have you with us. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Marty. These quick turnarounds from night game to day game.
Well, let's talk about last night. It was a painful one for the San Francisco Giants. They pride themselves on good starting pitching, but it did have a backstory to it. Jordan Montgomery making his first start for Arizona, the former Boras client. He's fired Boras, but going up against Blake Snell, making his third start for the Giants, and both signed so late, it had a little bit of drama to it even before the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we talked to Jordan Montgomery after the game, and he was just kind of chuckling at the fact that it happens to be Blake Snell. That he just said, of course, I end up facing him on my first start. It just was one of those rare coincidences that happens over the course of a season.
Montgomery was terrific last night. What was his reaction after the game? What did you think?
He really was, and I think there was some trepidation. He had thrown a couple games down in Reno, AAA Reno, for their AAA team. He had not looked particularly good. I mean, his ERA was over 10, and but Torey Lovello said that when he spoke with him, that Montgomery had explained he was working on some things. He was throwing more fastballs than usual, and after the game, we asked Jordan about that, and he talked about the fact that hey, when you're in the minor leagues, the adrenaline's not the same. I was throwing more fastballs than I normally would. I was working on getting the fastball to my glove side. There were things he was working on, not necessarily concerned with results at that point. It was more like spring training for him. So sometimes it seems like you put some stock in those minor league numbers, and you really shouldn't.
How is the ball club doing now? Because, we think back, look, this is a pennant winner. They were in the World Series. It's hard to believe. It's true. I saw it with my own two eyes in the playoffs. But what about this ball club now? Give me a handle on who they are right now.
Well, I think they're still kind of coming to, still figuring that out this early in the season. They had such a remarkable run last October, and so many things went their way. And, over the course of the season, that's not always going to be the case. And, I think it's been that they have some injuries right now. They're not a complete team at the moment. And I think they're still trying to get their feet on the ground and still trying to tighten up some of the mistakes that they're making early in the season that is atypical for them when they were having their success last year.
Well, they have a lot of confidence. They went out and spent some money. How about that? Was that surprising to you?
Yeah, I think that Ken Kendrick has always kind of shown that when it's close, he's willing to go over budget. But this time he really kind of blew the budget out of the water a little bit. So, they felt like I think one of the things you have to kind of credit Mike Hazen for is having a realistic view of his team after last year. It could have been easy to just say, hey, we went to the World Series and we got a bunch of young players and they're going to get better, so we don't really need to do much to this team. But he looked at it like, hey, they were an 84-win team that had a nice run in the postseason, but still an 84-win team that got outscored during the regular season, and they needed to make improvements. And so they went out and did that, and they spent, it's just a record payroll for them, adding Montgomery, adding Eduardo Rodriguez, adding Eugenio Suarez, Randall Grichuk. They added a bunch of guys to this team to try to make it better, and we'll see how that goes.
It's sort of like the Giants in a way, and I tell that to people. The Giants added 7 major leaguers to the 26-man roster, very similar with Arizona, honestly, when you look at Rodriguez when he finally gets into the rotation. And how about Jock? You got Jock Peterson there, too.
Jock Peterson, sorry, I overlooked Jock Peterson. He's done a heck of a job for them so far this early in the season. He hit a homer off a lefty the other day, too. So, they're mainly playing him against right-handers, but, he's been really swinging a hot bat for them.
All right, last, Steve Gilbert with us. Always good to talk ball with him. Blaze Alexander. Now, I saw the name. I grew up in Miami Beach. We had all these little burlesque clubs and things like that. And the star was Blaze Star or Blaze something. And I'm looking, Blaze Alexander, where the heck did he come from?
He's been one of their prospects for a little while now, and had some injury issues in the minor leagues. Just a great kid. He's always happy. Always has a smile on his face. Oh, if you need him for an interview, he's always got time. They need him to sign autographs. He's always willing to do that. He's just happy to be so thrilled to be in the big leagues. But he's been a big find for them. He had a great spring. I don't think anybody really thought coming into camp he was going to make the team. But he had a great spring for him. They decided to keep him. And now with Perdomo being hurt, he's seen, a lot of time at shortstop. Over the last week or so, they haven't played him there as much. He had some defensive hiccups there the second week of the season, I think it was. So they're kind of, giving him a little break from that spot at the moment, but he's likely to be back in there shortly. But, you saw last night with that grand slam, he can certainly hit.
Well, he hit it out that way, and then it looked like he had one to left field that sort of stuck on the top of the wall, I guess, and that was called a double when they did the review. But what about his first name? Is it actually Blaze? Is that it?
It's actually Blaze. That is his name. That's his given name. So.
All right. I love it. All right. Ketel Marte. And Steve, I saw him play a few years ago, and he was awful. People criticized him; he wasn't putting out. Last year it came together for him, and last night, of course, 4 hits for him. What about Marte? Is this who he is now? What we're seeing now?
It sure seems like it. Last year he came into knowing he was just going to play second base. They weren't going to move him around. And Torrey asked him to, get a little bit more flexible, get a little bit more mobile out there. He had kind of bulked up a little bit prior to that. And his range last year was much better than it had ever been. He played better defense than he had in the previous seasons. And, he had a really good year at the plate, but then when they got to October, he really turned it up an extra notch. He was the MVP of the National League Championship Series, and I think he kind of has seen what he can be when he is at his best, when he is, in the best shape he can be in, when he's playing the way he's playing right now. And I think he, quite frankly, he really likes that attention and likes the fact to be considered amongst the elite players in the game. So I think that's motivating him. I think it's just kind of feeding on top of each other, and he's just got on quite a roll right now.
Yeah, he's been terrific. The kid hitting behind him has not been terrific, but he was fabulous last year, Corbin Carroll. What's up with him? What do you see here? Is it just a slow start?
Yeah, it seems like it's just a slow start. I think, his strikeout rate is way down. That was something he was trying to work on. Has that taken away from a little bit of his aggressiveness? I don't know. But I think that, they don't seem to be too concerned about him because he's always somebody that figures it out. And sometimes guys spoil us. They come up from the minor leagues, and he really just cruised through last year, and it was hard because there were so many expectations on him, and yet he may have even exceeded the expectations they had for him as a rookie. So it is jarring to see him, not producing at that level just because it becomes so used to seeing it. But I think he's probably an easy bet to kind of figure things out.
Boy, exciting player, little Corbin Carroll. Had a great playoff last year. Steve Gilbert with us, covers the Diamondbacks for MLB.com. We haven't seen the Diamondback bullpen the first 2 games. Of course, Logan Webb, the gem that he threw Thursday night. Last night, 17-1, they put Martinez in, who eventually throws strikes. But we haven't seen the good part of the Arizona bullpen. If we do see it, what do we see?
Yeah, you see Ryan Thompson, who, they picked him up. Any team could have claimed him last year after the Rays let him go, and without him, they don't make the playoffs or have that run in the playoffs that they had last year. So he's been pitching pretty well this year. Paul Sewald, who they got just prior to the deadline last year, has been injured. Got an oblique injury. So they've turned to Kevin Ginkel to kind of close things out, and he had a really good run last year too. He's a really good pitcher. We had a bizarre case the other night against the Cubs where he threw a wild pitch and Nico Horner got so far away from Moreno behind the plate that Horner scored from second to tie the game in the bottom of the 9th inning. That's something you see all the time. But they've got some pretty good options there at the end of the bullpen. It's been a little struggle for them getting to those guys at the moment with some of their middle relievers.
Well, we've got great pitching matchups the rest of the series. Zach Gallen today, and of course, baseball is your starting pitcher. You can lose 17-1 last night and come out and a totally different game today. So Zach Gallen today and Kyle Harrison, and then tomorrow Merrill Kelly, who's a giant killer, goes against Jordan Hicks, who, in my opinion, he was the best pitcher I saw in Arizona. So how do you like those 2 matchups?
Yeah, those are going to be good matchups. Though we shouldn't see any 17-1 games, though you never know with baseball. But Gallen has been pitching really well for the Diamondbacks, and so has Merrill Kelly. There was some concern. They threw a lot of innings last year. They pitched into November, and they kind of went at their off seasons a little bit differently. Zach never really stopped throwing. He just kept playing catch, took, I think, 2 weeks off maybe at most in November, whereas Kelly kind of shut things down for a while. And this spring, they shortened their outings. Torrey didn't get them in the games until March. just to try to take a little bit of load off them this early in the season. And so far that seems to have paid off. There was no rust, even though they got less work than the other guys during spring training. And they've been really good their first few starts of the year, both of them.
Boy, it's going to be fun to see those two games. All right, Steve Gilbert, one last thought for you. How do you like this NL West? The Dodgers getting hit around a little bit.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? We spend the off season, deciding that one team is going to be the most dominant team. And look, the Dodgers are outstanding, and they may end up, still dominating and winning over 100 games. But it's just so funny. We always talk about this team or that team, and then they actually have to come and play, and injuries happen, and some guys don't perform quite the way you expect them to, and who knows what's going to happen with this NL West race right now.
Yeah, it's a good one. Very good. I'm glad to have you on, Steve. Always a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you.
Marty, it's always my pleasure to be with you. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. That is Steve Gilbert, MLB.com. More coming up. KNBR 680, 104.5, the sports leader. What a beautiful day for baseball. I ran into Gene Bagato on opening day, and he said that it's absolutely beautiful, not only up on the Sonoma coast, but also on the way out there. The wet weather has resulted in spectacular scenery in the countryside with lush green fields showcasing the farms and ranches of Sonoma County, and it makes for a beautiful, pleasant drive. Wow, sounds like the Peterman catalog. And once you get to Bodega Bay, the Tides Wharf and the luxurious Inn at the Tides are waiting for you. From delicious meals any time of day at the wharf to the large updated rooms at the inn, there's something for everyone looking for a break, and we all need it. So if you're looking for that special getaway not far from the Bay Area, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. Fans, just like baseball, Georgie Brothers Furniture is full of tradition as they've served the Bay Area for over 90 years. Still a third-generation family-owned furniture showroom. Their talented staff work as a team to help their customers select the best pieces of furniture to invest in. The 50,000-square-foot showroom is full of over 150 wonderful manufacturers. One of the most popular furniture lines I love and own are stressless chairs. Stressless makes all kind of high-quality furniture, including sectional sofas, love seats, single reclining chairs, as well as the classic stressless chair and ottoman. Now, starting March 29th and running all the way through May 28th, there is a great sale on stressless furniture right here at Georgie Brothers. Visit the Stressless Gallery today. You'll find something that you love. That's Georgie Brothers in South San Francisco since 1933. The best source for home furnishings, or visit them at georgiebrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember, tell them that Marty sent you. A pleasure having you back with us. We're joined by Tyler Kepner. Tyler Kepner, senior writer for The Athletic, one of the best authors in baseball that I know, a wonderful columnist as well. And Tyler is in New York today. Tyler, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm out at the Yankees-Rays. How you doing?
We're doing great. I'm just so happy to have you on today. What a special day at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees do these things better than anybody. I really will tell you that. And a special day for John Sterling today on his retirement. You got to see the festivities. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, John's one of a kind guy. I mean, he his press conference was just so much fun. I mean, the standard, the on-field ceremony was pretty standard. They had his family out there. They gave him some gifts, but his press conference was great. He's just he's a master storyteller, and he's a fun, quirky kind of what you see is what you get sort of guy. Like he's not like a classically trained journalism school sort of guy. He did the games in his own unique style, and he brought that today. He's not going to miss it, he says, because he's almost 86 years old, and he's just. He said he can still do the games. That's easy, but it's getting to the games, getting back and forth. Obviously, the road trips, that was all going to be too much. So he just said, you know what, it's time. That's it.
Boy, how did he resonate? Well, why did he resonate so much with the sophisticated New York baseball fan with the catchy sayings and here comes the judge and all those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of what it was, because he had those catchphrases for each home run. Each player had his own little saying, and that was something fans could look forward to. They certainly hit a lot of home runs, and I think they loved how excited he would get. And after a while, you grow to appreciate or enjoy more than tolerate, sort of just almost laugh at a guy's quirks. Like he was never gonna put much faith in stats, and he was always gonna talk about how you can't predict baseball and all that stuff. It just became part of the Yankee soundtrack, and also he's a performer, and he knows what audiences like, and the timbre and tone of the voice and all that stuff. He's always had an intuitive understanding of what sounds good to a listener.
Boy, Tyler Kepner with us, and of course the broadcaster is the friend that you go to the game with and you invite into your home. And New York accepted John, and I'm so glad that you could be there today to share in that festivity for him. A wonderful man. You have a new column that's out with The Athletic. It's called Sliders. Tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks. It's every Friday. It comes out, and it's kind of like, like a plate full of sliders, basically. You get little, smaller bites, but a lot of, hopefully a lot of meat on there. I try to do some historical stuff, and obviously, a lot of present day stuff, and have a section where a player or someone in baseball can give you top 5 this or that, or 5 tips for doing something, and 5 insights. I take a little detour from the immaculate grid and tell a little story about someone who pops up on the grid. I throw a little classic TV clip or commercial or something fun. I try to keep it different and sort of surprising each week, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of it's my sensibilities, and I'm just I really enjoy sharing that with the readers. It seems like it's connecting pretty well.
No, I think it's terrific. It's terrific. You had a good little statement, a little story about Jack Fisher, Fat Jack Fisher, who pitched for the Orioles and the Mets, and tell us why he was a focus this week.
Yeah, he was out at Citi Field the other day because it was the 60th anniversary of the first game at Shea Stadium on the same grounds there. And he threw the first pitch at Shea Stadium. So they had him and Ron Hunt out, to do a little press conference and with their memories, and then to throw out the first pitch. And afterwards, I went up and asked him about the, what it was like to pitch to Ted Williams in his final at bat. We've all read probably the famous John Updike essay about it. Hub fans bid kid adieu, and he was on the mound, and got to give up the very last home run to Ted Williams in his last at bat. So it's one of those there's always somebody on the other side of it. But you get people like Ted Williams and stories like that. There's not a whole lot of people left who can give you those memories of what it was like to really be there. Ted's been gone now for 22 years, so he's almost like a figure of purely of history for people. But it's neat to me when you can find people who really were part of that history and can tell you about it, like Carl Erskine, who just died. I got to know him really well. Not really well, but I mean, he was so accessible to everybody. You could call him up, and I went out to visit him at his house in Indiana last summer, and when he got the Buck O'Neil Award from the Hall of Fame, and Carl Erskine was another of those guys who pitched long ago who could tell vivid stories for the rest of his life.
Well, great stuff. I'm so glad that you do this. We've got the Mets coming in on Monday. What do we expect from the fabulous Mets, the amazing Mets?
Well, they're on a little bit of a hot streak. They've been playing really well lately, pitching really well, which you might not have expected. They don't have Senga. He's been hurt, and of course they traded some of their big guys last year. And Tyler McGill is hurt, but they've been hanging in there. Luis Severino, former Yankee, has done a nice job. Sean Manaea has been pretty good. And so they've been pitching it pretty well. Their bullpen's been great. Lindor has been off to a slow start, but he got a big home run in L.A. last night. They lost their catcher last night, Alvarez, to a thumb injury, so he won't be there for the Giants series. But they're doing a little better. There weren't a lot of expectations on the Mets this year, but they're hanging in there.
And the New York Yankees, where you are today, they beat Tampa last night. A big home run for Soto. Soto looks like he belongs as a Yankee. I'll tell you that, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting well, but so that might explain it. But he's having a lot of fun. I mean, the way he interacts with those fans in right field. I mean, here at the game today, he caught the last out of an inning, and immediately, without even missing a beat, just turned around and threw the ball up into the stands, and they gave a big cheer, during the roll call, and he did a big salute and everything. And so, in the end, it'll all come down to who makes the highest offer. We all know that. But, for this year, for a 1 year kind of preview, so far it hasn't, nothing to dislike. It can't have gone any better for this first month.
Well, I love having you on, and I appreciate the column Sliders. You can get it every Friday as part of The Athletic with Tyler Kepner. We get the Pirates after that. I want to see Jared Jones, who threw 59 pitches and 50 strikes for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I can't wait to see him pitch. So we got a lot to look forward to. Tyler, thank you so much, as always.
All right, thanks a lot, Marty. Anytime.
Oh, very good. Yeah, Tyler wrote about Jared Jones as well. Boy, what a day. All right, 17-1 yesterday, and every day in baseball is a new day, and it all is the momentum of your starting pitcher. So believe me, that's what the story will be today. Back with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. again. Walter's coming up with our Giants warm-up just in a second. But the lineup today is Lee, Wade, Soler, Conforto, Flores at third today. No Chapman, Bailey, Estrada, Yaz, and Ahmed. And Chapman was 0 for 7 against Gallen. All right, Walter Ikabalseta next with our Giants warm-up right here, KNBR 680, 104.5, the sports leader.
What's up, Giants fans, and welcome to the Giants warm-up show on a Saturday, April 20th. For those who observe, yeah, shout out Raph. He looks way too relaxed right now in the studio. But welcome to the Giants warm-up show, everybody. Let's just forget last night happened. Let's just forget that was even a thing. It was on Apple TV. Did anyone even watch the game? Because on Apple TV, I can't tell you that it happened. I watched a little bit of it. I know it happened. But welcome to Giants warm-up. Today, we look to Kyle Harrison, the rookie, who is going to try to right the ship for the San Francisco Giants. He is opposed by Zach Gallen. He is a phenomenal pitcher. So it's going to be, if you look at this Giants lineup right now, and we'll talk about the lineup, we'll talk about the pitchers, we'll talk about Blake Snell, all in this hour as we get you ready for first pitch at 1:05 with the Giants and the Diamondbacks. But when you look at this Giants starting rotation, that is where they get a lot of their momentum. And Logan Webb has returned to being an ace for this staff. I mean, he's gone 7 innings in each of the last 3 outings since he didn't last very long in Los Angeles. And he's just made it a point that he is going to be that staple, that rock for this Giants rotation. Then you pivot over to Blake Snell, and Blake Snell has not looked anywhere near what he's capable of doing. Now, 808 KNBR is the number. That's 415-808-5627. Are you concerned about what you are seeing from Blake Snell early on in the season? You have to remember that I had someone suggest to me on Twitter, I think it was last week, where we were breaking down Blake Snell. And prior to his last start in Tampa, right, he hadn't looked good. He didn't control the fastball, and his off speed was actually looking not too bad. But then you follow that up, and we know he's not where he's supposed to be right now. He is kind of in the phase of spring training when you look at it. But someone tweeted me on X, and you can always chime in at Walleezy. That's WALLEEZZY on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and chime in. Go ahead and shoot me a DM or a tweet, and let's talk about it. Because someone hit me up last week, and they were pretty much saying that Blake Snell should have started in Sacramento. And when you have someone of that caliber who literally just won a Cy Young last year, and he does have slow starts to his first half of the year. But what's so important with Blake Snell in that he will be able to ramp up and be what he can be in the second half when the Giants need him the most. But then the question is, well, if you're banking on his second half, which is always better than his first half, then why didn't the Giants take the extra time to have him in Sacramento? It's a good question. I mean, it was a talking point for Bob Melvin where they were considering Snell ramp up in the minors like Montgomery did. Because you look at what Jordan Montgomery did, this was his first start. And again, this was a showdown of the Boris Four, or formerly a Boris client of Montgomery. And he comes in. Maybe it's the team that he's playing. Maybe it's the offense of the San Francisco Giants. He only allowed 4 hits for the entire night for the San Francisco Giants offense. But Jordan Montgomery, he was doing games in the minors for his ramp up, and Blake Snell did not do that. Now, Snell is a believer that he feels good. He didn't feel like he needed that extra ramp up time, but the numbers are what the numbers are. And the last 3 starts for Blake Snell have not gone to anyone's liking. Now, is it time to panic? I don't think so. Early on, the returns of Blake Snell, everyone could be freaking out. But this starting rotation outside of Blake Snell, when he does get going, that's where this team, the machine is just going to keep churning out quality start after quality start after quality start. Because when you look at who's going today with Kyle Harrison, he has had 3 of his 4 starts this year has been quality starts. And he's going against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who they love to hit fastballs. That's a thing that I'm a little bit concerned about with this matchup today with Kyle Harrison. But he does generally pitch pretty well at home. So we'll have to watch that matchup. But when you look at just the grand scheme of things with the San Francisco Giants and their starting rotation, right? Blake Snell has not pitched to the level that he is nearly capable of doing. I am not worried about it, but how are you feeling? 808 KNBR is the number. That's 415-808-5627. We are also on Twitch and YouTube, so go ahead and shoot me your thoughts in the chat room, and we'll talk about it, because Blake Snell is not pitching to the level that he is capable of. Have to give him a little bit of leeway, because you have to remember that his ramp up indifferent to what Jordan Montgomery did, because everyone's looking at, well, we could have had Jordan Montgomery, and look at him dealing against the Giants. The story of how these guys got there is a little bit different, in that, again, Montgomery was able to ramp up in the minors and get his feet from underneath him, and Blake Snell is doing this against major league hitters, and it is discouraging, though, when you look at the teams that he's gone against. It's been the Nationals, it's been the Rays, and I'll give him a pass on the Diamondbacks, but this was when the Giants signed him. I mean, you looked at his ERA across the board of what he did against NL West competitors. And I think that is because, I mean, you lose to the Nationals. Nationals aren't going to be a threat down the road. And you lose to the Rays, and you're on a road trip. But then you come back home where the starters before Snell had all been dealing. You got Keaton Winn, who looked pretty good in his final outing in Tampa. Then you had Logan Webb, who comes in, again, 7 innings and just shut out ball. And the Giants win 5-0. Then you got this thing rolling. Now you have momentum, and that's what you get with this Giants starting rotation, is that you have momentum from start to start to start. But then it seems like when it gets to Blake Snell, at least for right now, it loses traction. And it doesn't help that the Giants haven't been able to help in the runs scored category, because in Blake Snell's home starts, they're getting outscored 25-2. 25-2. That's not, you're not going to win many ball games. I know 25 runs is a lot, but 25-2? Maybe a 25-10. Maybe that looks a little bit better, but they're giving up a lot of runs in Blake Snell starts. And you know, the bullpen really got taxed yesterday, where, I mean, you look at Sean Jelly. Sean Jelly's coming back now. He is returned from the injured list. Kai-Wei Tang is now back in Sacramento. He was one of those victims, unfortunately, last night with the 17-1 loss for the San Francisco Giants on an Orange Friday. The Orange Friday doesn't have the same magic as the City Connect Tuesdays, but City Connect's gonna have to wait until when was it, Raph? I think it's like May.
They want to say
May 11th,
mid of May.
Yeah, mid May. We'll have to see when the magic could come back from the City Connect. By the way, I saw earlier this week. I was out at the Stick. It's a bar right down the street from Oracle, and dude had a really nice City Connect Jung-Hoo Lee, which I'm excited that he is back in the lineup. And that's something, too, You
how do you get a jersey, but Jung Hoo Lee doesn't?
Hey, man, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he works at Fanatics. I have no idea how he has the jersey, but the whole team doesn't. But it looked pretty good. It looked pretty solid. The City Connect, anyway, not the quality of the jersey. Whatever. That's another topic for another day. But yes, what are your thoughts on the San Francisco Giants with Blake Snell having a rough start to it? He's 3 starts in, and he has an 11.57 ERA, 0-3 in those starts. And yesterday he allowed 5 runs on 9 hits and went 4 2/3 innings. I don't know why I want to keep saying 7, Raph. But so how are you feeling about Blake Snell? But today we turned the page. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of baseball, in that you could have a really good game on Wednesday, like the Giants, or Thursday, like the Giants did, and have a stinker yesterday. But we come back less than 24 hours later, and we're doing this thing again with Kyle Harrison on the mound. And the Giants trot out their lineup here with Jung Hoo Lee. He is back in the starting lineup. He had an off day yesterday. You got to get these guys off days. And another guy that has an off day today is Matt Chapman. He has not looked as good. I mean, he has a couple home runs here and there, but just a scheduled day off today, just for him to get his mind right, moving into this home stretch where the Mets are going to be coming into town and they're playing good ball now. And then you have I believe it's the Pittsburgh Pirates next weekend, where, I mean, I want to say that they are at the top of the NL Central right now. I haven't looked at the standings updated, but they were leading the NL Central for the good portion of the beginning of the year. But Jung Hoo Lee is batting leadoff. You have him in center field. Thank God for Jung Hoo Lee riding a 10-game hit streak. Spoiler, maybe he's a player to bank on. I don't know. Maybe we'll get into that when we get into Diamond Notes. Hitting second, you got Lamont Wade Jr. He is at first base. Jorge Soler is batting third. He is the DH spot today. You got Michael Conforto, who is back in the cleanup spot in left field. Then you go to Wilmer Flores, who gets the start at third base. Again, I don't foresee that as being an issue. And I guess when you look at the grand scheme of things, Kyle Harrison is a fly ball strikeout pitcher. So you're not going to get those ground balls to the hot corner, as I guess percentage wise, you're not going to get them. They're least likely for ground balls for Kyle Harrison, the way that he pitches. So a good spot for Wilmer Flores to be at the hot corner. You got Patrick Bailey, who it is Patrick Bailey bobblehead day today. So get out there and get your bobblehead. 808 KNBR, what's your favorite bobblehead that you of all time? I like the Pablo Sandoval with the bubble gum with him blowing it while he's diving for a catch. You know what I'm talking about, Raph. Patrick Bailey, he is batting 6th at catcher. Tyro Estrada batting 7th at second base. You have Mike Yastrzemski, the great Mike Yastrzemski, who is still in the lineup. Everyone knows my thoughts on Mike Yastrzemski and the right field situation. We'll get into that a little bit later, but Mike Yastrzemski is batting 8th in right field. And then you got Nick Ahmed, who I think is doing a great job at shortstop defensively, and he's doing what he can in the 9-hole. He's more than serviceable right now, so he is at shortstop. So run through it one more time. You got Jung Hoo Lee, Wade Jr., Soler, Conforto, Flores, Bailey, Estrada, Yaz, and Nick Ahmed. And today the matchup is Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison will be on the mound for the San Francisco Giants to try to right the ship, because yesterday you can't imagine that it sits well with the San Francisco Giants in their clubhouse right now. So he tries to right the ship. He throws his fastball an alarming, I think it's plus 65% of the time. And as I mentioned earlier, the Diamondbacks do hit the fastball well. So it's going to be all about pitch sequence and him hitting his locations with that fastball today. So we will talk more about this San Francisco Giants team. Blake Snell, give me your thoughts on how you are feeling about his third start for the San Francisco Giants. Did not go to anyone's expectations yesterday. Are you concerned about Blake Snell moving forward? The starting rotation looks pretty solid, but Blake Snell, once he gets ready, that's when this thing's going to start rolling with the San Francisco Giants rotation. And we'll talk about the offense. Just look anemic yesterday. 4 hits, only scored 1 run. But everyone, we got the light show yesterday. How did everyone think about that? The light show with Jorge Soler. I don't even think that he got all of that. 410 to left field, and I think he missed it. I think he missed it because he's more than capable of hitting 450 plus. That's just what I expect with Jorge Soler. So how you feeling about the Giants offense? How you feeling about Blake Snell? We'll talk about all that on the other side. You're listening to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR, the sports leader.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys. Sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
It's 1-1. Here it comes, and Soler drives one deep down the left field line. It is gone! And we've got a home run in a home game. Jorge Soler, the first Giants home run at Oracle Park this year. Straight down the left field line. The only question was, would it stay fair? And it did by plenty. 2-1 Diamondbacks. The fourth home run of the year for Soler. That was kind of a long time coming.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR, the sports leader. I'm your host, Walter, taking you all the way up to first pitch, 105 today. Kyle Harrison is on the mound against Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen is a top pitcher in the league, but definitely the ace for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But you heard it there. The first bomb, the first home run of the San Francisco Giants at home this year. Jorge Soler, absolute tank. Unfortunately, that was the only highlight of yesterday's game, with Jorge Soler hitting that solo home run to left field, 410 down the line, and you love to hear it there. So we're going to be talking about the Giants offense, what needs to happen. What are you concerned about the lack of productivity right now at this point in the season? It's only in the middle of April, so we have to kind of take it with a grain of salt almost. But you have to look at what this offense is putting out, and it's just very inconsistent. You would like to see a lot more consistency. You do like that the Giants lineup for the most part is the same, but also you got to look at that as well. Is that part of the problem? You got to mix it up. You got to find ways to get runs across, and the Giants they're not that team to out hit, to out homer you, but you got to find other ways to score runs. So let's talk about the Giants offense, and also asking the question about Blake Snell. We'll take questions or concerns on Blake Snell also. So go ahead and give us a call at 415-808-KNBR. That's 415-808-5627. Let's go on out to Luis in San Jose. What's up, Luis? You want to talk about the Giants offense? How you feeling?
Hey, Walter. Thanks for having me on, man. How am I feeling about the offense? Pretty pathetic, pretty anemic, if you ask me, man. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I think you hit it right on the nail too, man. It's very inconsistent. It's just frustrating to watch. And I know Melvin wants to stay committed to the veterans, to the Yaz, the Slaters. But I mean, it's tough to watch, man. And I'm not saying to call up all the youngsters because we've seen a little bit of them last year, but I mean, you got to try some mixing and matching for sure.
Yeah, for sure, Luis, and especially when it comes to the right field situation, because when you look at Yaz and Slater, I mean, for the Giants in particular, Mike Yastrzemski, the Giants need his glove out in right field. That is definitely a plus for Mike Yastrzemski, and I think that's why he's getting so much leeway, because we've seen what Mike Yastrzemski can do. We've seen him produce at a high level in the past, but it's just not happening right now. When you look at the platoon system with Yaz and Slater, they're hitting 120 between the both of them. That's just not going to cut it. So that's a situation where what are you looking at? What else is there possibly? I know a lot of people were talking about Luis Matos at the beginning of the year. He hit 2 home runs, hasn't hit one since. He is not projecting out to be a difference maker as of right now. Can that potentially happen down the road? Sure, but that's not a scenario that can possibly happen within the next week, 2, or middle of May, because I think that's kind of where you're going to get potential moves, is middle of May, beginning of May, when it comes to Yaz and Slater, because we know what they're capable of. They can produce. They have plus gloves in the outfield, and that's what the Giants have preached all offseason, is that they want to have the best defensive lineup out there. That's what you get with Yaz. He does have pop. It's just not happening right now. So they're going to give him every opportunity to find that magic. He's only had 5 hits on the season. 5 for 37, hitting 130, 135. Still hasn't hit a home run. And the concerning thing with his hits, I mean, he's still trying to come back from getting his timing right, because his hits have all been singles. There hasn't been any extra base hits. But I'm not only picking on Yaz. I mean, there's a lot of that to go around for the San Francisco Giants. But when you look at potential situations that can be, or potential solutions for the right field, Elliot Ramos is hitting really good in Sacramento right now. I know we've seen Elliot Ramos before, but you have to keep in mind the times that we did see him, he was a much younger player. Now he's seasoned. I want to say he's 24 years old in the Sacramento River Cats system, in the Giants system. So maybe you give him a shot. I know that probably throughout the rest of this month, it's going to be a steady dose of Yaz and Slater. But do you consider putting Lamont Wade in right field? I know that that's not a defensive upgrade by any means, but he is hitting pretty well right now. He's batting second today, so he's one of the better hitters for the San Francisco Giants right now when healthy. Lamont Wade is putting together a really good start to the season in April. So do you put Lamont Wade in right? Probably not. Maybe you put him in left. You move Conforto over to right. Like there's endless combinations that can possibly happen. Do you take a look at Tyler Fitzgerald? Do you try Fitzgerald in the outfield? I know that last year he was primarily an infielder coming up through the system. I want to say that he was a shortstop by trade. But when you look at everything else, he is a super utility. He can play anywhere. He still has to learn the outfield. But do you consider putting him in right field, or again, putting him in left field and putting Conforto over in right field? There has to be different combinations as to what can happen in the right field solution if Yaz and Slater don't eventually come around. Again, like I mentioned, that platoon is only hitting 120 between the both of them. Only seven hits between Mike Yastrzemski and Austin Slater. So we're still talking about the San Francisco Giants offense here. And Luis, thank you so much for the call. Really appreciate it, man. Call in anytime. Let's go back out to the phone lines and go ahead and give us a call at 415-808-5627. That's 808 KNBR. Well, let's go out to Tomas in San Jose. He has faith in the San Francisco Giants offense. Tell me more, Tomas.
Hey, Walter. Yeah, I was actually calling about Blake Snell. Great show so far, by the way.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm as concerned about Blake as I am about the Giants as a whole. Us Giants fans were born and bred in the torture, so we're used to the highs and the lows. And as long as we hang around, I have faith in this team, right in the ship. Blake Snell, he's definitely just getting his arm under him. But what the Giants need to do is definitely put pressure on the bases. Stephanie and I, my fiance, we're heading to the game today, so we're hoping that put pressure on the pitcher, and then what we can do is we can get some more home runs going, because I think you put pressure, you get in their heads, and then the home runs will come.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that the Giants, when you look at their end to their last homestand, they were the last team to not only have a home run, which was yesterday with Jorge Soler, but they were also the last team to record stolen bases. So that is something that the Giants need to implement here, especially with Zach Gallen on the mound. You're not necessarily sure how many times that guys are going to be able to get on base against Gallen. When you look at everyone who has, and thank you for the call, Tomas, really appreciate it, man. But when you look at the Giants who have hit Gallen pretty well in the past, you do look at Mike Yastrzemski. Mike Yastrzemski has hit Zach Gallen pretty good in the past. He is hitting currently 333 in 21 at bats against Zach Gallen, so he can get on base. But as far as guys that can steal, Thairo Estrada is hitting 415 at bats against Gallen, so he can be someone that can move on the bases. And that's something that Bob Melvin, when the Giants were going through their lull, their last homestand, where they weren't generating a lot of offense, they went to the base paths, and that is going to be a important matchup here in this game. But when you look at the with the catcher situation, with their catcher Moreno. He is. I mean, we like what we see from Patrick Bailey, but Moreno, he is really good defensively. So that's also a combination that the Giants are going to have to try to see. Maybe they don't move on the bases, but maybe you implement a hit and run. Maybe you get back to that. I can't remember the last time I saw a hit and run. And when you have someone like Jung-Hoo Lee who constantly puts the bat on the ball and he's riding a 10-game hit streak and he's hitting leadoff today, he's going to be a spark plug for this offense. And it's not a coincidence, in my opinion, that the Giants only had 4 hits and that was about it when Jung-Hoo Lee was not in the lineup. So now he gets in that lineup. If he gets on base, that's what a leadoff hitter is supposed to do. Then that with that speed that he has, I believe he has 2 stolen bases on the season. With that speed that Jung-Hoo Lee has, it will sit in the back of Zach Gallen's mind and Moreno's mind. And that's going to be, and that can change the whole outlook of at-bats to follow that. So that's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. But let's continue to go out to the phone lines really quick. Kevin in San Mateo, he wants to talk about the pitching. I know Tomas wanted to talk about Blake Snell, and Tomas, you can call back and if you have anything to add to the Blake Snell conversation. But let's go out to Kevin in San Mateo. You want to talk about the pitching staff. What's up, Kevin?
I don't think Hicks is nearly this good. Snell is definitely not this bad. Harrison will be sent down in about 3 weeks. This offense is below average, batting average and power. And the only thing this team has got going is defense. You got a lot of people on hold. I'll take it off the air. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. The ray of sunshine, Kevin in San Mateo. I disagree with a lot of what Kevin just said. Jordan Hicks, he's not that good. He is looking pretty good right now. The early season returns, can that pan out? That's the question for Jordan Hicks moving forward, is can he pan out over 162? We'll have to wait and see, but I like what he's doing. His pitch mix is phenomenal. He understands. I would say right now, I would counter that in that I feel that Jordan Hicks understands pitching and how to set up pitchers and set up batters more than Kyle Harrison does at this point. Because Kyle Harrison only relies on that fastball. He throws it 67% of the time, and it's a good fastball. Not to say anything bad about his fastball, but he does rely on it heavily. And when you look at Jordan Hicks, he just has an arsenal. He has a splitter. He has a sinker. He has a changeup. I mean, he has the sweeper. He knows how to mix and match with his pitches. So that's why I like how Jordan Hicks is looking right now and how he projects out for the rest of the season. But yeah, no, Kevin, thanks for the call. Really appreciate that. But let's take a quick break. We'll reset. We have more callers on the line. We got Skylar in Monterey. We got Dale in Grass Valley. I see you on the lines. Got more coming in as well. Go ahead and give us a call at 415-808-5627. That's 415-808-KNBR. Give us a call. What are your thoughts on Blake Snell? What are your thoughts on the San Francisco Giants offense as they go into Game 3? Zach Gallen on the mound against the San Francisco Giants, and Kyle Harrison will look to right the ship for the San Francisco Giants in Game 3 in a huge matchup in the NL West. And it just seems like we're playing NL West opponents every single weekend, every time I'm out here. But let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back with your calls. We'll talk about all of that. On the other side, you're listening to the Giants Warm-Up Show on KNBR, the Sports Leader. Welcome back to the Giants warm-up show. Taking you all the way up to 12:05, where the Giants official pregame show will start. Talk to John Miller, get his thoughts on the San Francisco Giants, get his thoughts on Patrick Bailey bobbleheads, because that is going on today. Make sure you get on out there, get that Patrick Bailey bobblehead. If you're not standing in line right now, you might not get one. So make your way over to the stadium now. We have been talking a lot about the Giants pitching staff, rightfully so, because the gem of the offseason, or at least we thought, would be Blake Snell. And I am in no way saying to jump off of the Blake Snell bandwagon. There's no chance. Chris Babcock on Twitter hit me up in the DMs. Thanks for the stats, Chris in Concord. He pretty much told me that in the first 9 starts for Blake Snell and the Padres, his record was 1-6. He ended 14-9 and with a Cy Young. So that's all I'm saying, is that the beginning of the year for Blake Snell can be a little rough. He's going to be there. We need him during the stretch run. And 707 chimed in on the text line, and go ahead and shoot us a text, 415-808-5627. That's 415-808-KNBR, or go ahead and shoot me some comments here in the YouTube chat. We're live on YouTube and on Twitch. But 707 goes, when I was asking about the concern level about Blake Snell, not too concerned. Worry meter is about a 2.5. I don't know what the scale is. I'm assuming it's to 10. But worry meter is a 2.5. I think Snell won't look like himself another 3 starts. Let's tread water around 500 until mid-May. Then we get rolling. I agree. I agree with that. You would like it not to be treading water, but yeah, you gotta keep it close, or at least you have to keep it with the rest of the division, right? And we'll give you a standings update here shortly, but yeah, you just want to keep pace with the division and keep pace definitely with the wild card race. I know it's April, but again, you can't win a division, you can't win a playoff race in April, but you could definitely fall out of it. So yeah, treading water, that's what they need to do. You would hope that this Giants offense would be able to produce a little bit more. But this year they're only scoring so far 2.9 runs a game, which is a full run less than the entire season last year. Again, it's a small sample size, but that's what the Giants offense is providing. But the reason why I'm not concerned about Blake Snell is because he isn't concerned either. He talked about his outing yesterday and pretty much kind of broke down where he is at in his ramp up to the MLB season.
Getting better, so say that. Slider's better than I thought it was. Changeup's pretty good today. Inconsistency in the speed, but shape was good. Fastball was a little sporadic, but a lot of good results with it. So just threw it in bad counts, but overall I was happy with the fastball. Curveball is definitely getting there. Didn't throw it a lot today. I should have probably thrown that more, but yeah, I gotta go see the hits. But from what I remember, a lot of end of the bat hits, and, finding holes, and then the fastballs. Walker, just a bad sequence. Favored him. Kettle. 2 hits that, yeah, I'll keep that to myself. And then the 112 slider, just a hanging slider. But Kettle's a really good hitter, so it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, they were ambushing. Guys that are usually patient were swinging early, which I thought they would. And, yeah, it went how I thought it would go. Just got to execute and have better sequences and have way better results.
I don't know. Was Blake Snell celebrating 420 a day early? that's kind of what it sounded like there. But he knows what he knows what he needs to do. He knows what he needs to do, and he mentioned their sequencing. I have a quote here from Blake Snell when they were talking to him about his outing, and And he just says that he needs better sequencing. The stuff is there, so all sequencing, pitching like I know I can once I start doing that, then the what-ifs and all that will fade. So, again, what is your concern level on Blake Snell with that last start? But let's look forward because, I mean, Blake Snell isn't the only guy in this Giants rotation. The Giants rotation is pretty solid right now, if you ask me, with Jordan Hicks, who Kevin in San Mateo does not like Jordan Hicks, but I like myself some Jordan Hicks. He is pitching tomorrow, so make sure to get out to just great pitching matchups. Great pitching matchups in this series, and that's all you can ask for with the San Francisco Giants team right now. And if you can go blow to blow with the pitching staff, then you have a chance to win. You have a chance to win, and Blake Snell will get there. But I like Jordan Hicks. I like what I'm seeing from Jordan Hicks. I like what I'm seeing from Keaton Wynn. I like what I'm seeing from Kyle Harrison, who is on the bump today. He has 3 quality starts in his first 4 starts of the season. And now I shift my focus to the player of the week. That's the player of the week in the starting rotation, sponsored by Key Point Credit Union, Next Generation Neighborhood Banking. Logan Webb is the player of the week. He has been on absolute tear ever since he had that bad outing in Los Angeles. Logan Webb has been on fire. The ace of the staff has returned. Love to see it. Love to see it with Logan Webb. Since that last outing in L.A. Thank you, Rafa. Yeah, let's hear it for Logan Webb. Yeah, since the last outing in L.A., where he had his shortest outing in over a year, Logan Webb has gone 3 consecutive outings of going 7 innings. And since last Saturday, which was his second start a week ago, in his 2 starts this week, Logan Webb is 2-0, and in those starts, he went 14 innings, 7 each, allowed 1 run on 8 hits, and that's a .64 ERA, 9 Ks, and 2 walks. So Logan Webb is the key player of the week. So the pitching rotation now shifts its focus to Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison is on the bump today to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks and Zach Gallen. Again, Kyle Harrison, you know, when you look at the grand scheme of things, last year he gave up 8 home runs in I want to say it was 60, it might have been 47 innings. I should look that up, but he gave up eight home runs last year. This year he's already given up 5, and that is not in nearly the same amount of appearances for Kyle Harrison. And what he is doing is he's leaving the ball up. He's leaving the ball up with his fastball. Of the 5 home runs, 2 have been fastballs that were left up, and 3 have been off-speed pitches that were also left up. A lot of them were in fastball counts. So that's what you see. I mean, I was out there the other day, the last home Harrison start, where he just gave up a bomb to C.J. Abrams. Hit that like 422 to Barry Bonds country. That's what C.J. Abrams did to that one, and that was a fastball that he left up. So he just needs to pinpoint accuracy with that fastball, because you know that the fastball is coming. The Diamondbacks know that the fastball is coming. He throws the fastball 67% of the time when he is pitching, and that's kind of the growth process that we're in with Kyle Harrison, is that he has an electric fastball. He loves the fastball. He feels most confident in the fastball. But what we'd like to see as he matures, because you have to remember, he's a young kid from De La Salle, 22 years old. He's still learning the craft and adjusting to the major leagues. But you would like to see at some point for him to develop a secondary pitch and really develop those off-speed pitches, because he has a curveball, he has a changeup, has a slider, but you know, he doesn't throw them effectively. So that's something where the Giants are going to have to help him out with that, and that's gonna take time. He's young, but that fastball is electric. Like I said, he throws it 67% of the time. But the Arizona Diamondbacks, when you look at how they do against four-seamers this year, they are posting a .892 OPS against that pitch, and that is the 3rd best in the majors, only behind the Astros and the Brewers. So that is where we are at with the pitching matchup for the San Francisco Giants, Kyle Harrison on the mound. Zach Gallen, again, Zach Gallen throws the fastball as well. He throws it 53% of the time. And the Giants actually, the perception on fastballs, they weren't hitting it pretty good about a week ago. Last time we were on the Giants warm-up show, the Giants were not hitting the fastball well at all. And their average at that point was 220. And it was at the bottom of the league as far as batting average against fastballs. They have since changed that perception. They are 9th in batting average against fastballs. That is 4-seam, 2-seam, sink, and cutters, hitting 267. So that's what you get with Zach Gallen is he has a 4-seamer that he throws 53% of the time, and he'll follow that up with a knuckle curve. And he also has a slider and has a changeup. He has like 6 pitches. He has 6 pitches, but the 3 that he favors the most is the 4-seam, the knuckle curve, and the slider. He does have a changeup, does have a cutter, does have a sinker, but doesn't throw that. He throws that under 10% of the time when you look at Zach Gallen's pitch mix. So look for the Giants to try to jump on. Maybe they start swinging early. Maybe they're not as patient in this outing. Maybe they try to jump on that early sequence fastball and get the ball rolling for that offense against Zach Gallen. Kyle Harrison on the mound, and the lineup for the San Francisco Giants. Let's run through that really quick. You got Jung-Hoo Lee in the leadoff spot in center field. You have Lamont Wade Jr. batting second at first base. Jorge Soler batting third at the DH spot. You have Michael Conforto batting cleanup in left field. You have Wilmer Flores at the hot corner today. Matt Chapman with the day off. He's batting fifth at third base. You have Patrick Bailey in the squad at batting sixth. Tyro Estrada batting seventh at second base. And you have Mike Yastrzemski batting eighth. Again, Mike Yastrzemski lifetime numbers against Gallen is pretty good. He's hitting .333 in, I believe it was 21 at-bats. Mike Yastrzemski batting eighth in right field. And you have Nick Ahmed at shortstop. So we will take a quick break. We will break it all down, and we'll give you a standings update. Everyone loves the standing update on the weekends, right? We'll give you the standings update just in case you don't know where the Giants are standing in the NL West. We'll do that on the other side, and we'll get you ready for the Giants pregame show at 12:05. First pitch, 1:05. Kyle Harrison, Zach Gallen. Game 3 of an NL West showdown between the Giants and the Diamondbacks. Will do that on the other side on KNBR, the sports leader. You know, Raph, I'm heading out to the game tonight. We're in KNBR Studios right here in downtown San Francisco. I'm gonna head down to the ballpark. I might give me a cha-cha bowl.
Get a cha-cha bowl. Get me one, man.
I'll get one. I'll get one for me. I'll get one for you. I'll bring it back. I got you, bro. I got you. Welcome back to the Giants warm-up show. Walter Ricardo taking you up to 12:05. 12:05 for the Giants pregame show. We will be talking with John Miller. Get his thoughts on the San Francisco Giants. Get his thoughts on Zach Gallen, Kyle Harrison. A little tease for that. But let's go out to the phone lines. We gotta wrap this thing up. Skyler is in Monterey. Skyler, welcome to The Sports Leader. How you doing today?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day out here in San Francisco.
It's a beautiful day in Monterey every day. That's all I got to say.
Nice, man.
Also,
I'm jealous.
Yeah, can't beat it. I got to say, Kevin is one salty dog. There's a lot to unpack there. But I want to focus on the offensive stuff. And we're hearing a lot of names. People, the offensive struggles. People are starting to talk about some of these minor league dudes. A name that I haven't heard a lot, and I just wanted to hear what your thoughts were talking about a guy like Blake Sable who can play multiple positions, can swing the bat a little bit, and might be able to come in and give a little charge to the offense.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Skyler. Really appreciate it. Blake Sable, his numbers aren't terrible in Sacramento right now. He is in Sacramento. He's with the River Cats. I want to say the last time that I looked, I want to say he's hitting 260, 265. I'm not sure if he's hit a homer yet, and he might have one. But his offensive production last year was actually pretty decent for the San Francisco Giants. Do I want him as the right fielder? Probably not. I would want him in left field if he was to be in the outfield. But it's really interesting when you look at Blake Sable. It's because his offense, it's good. It isn't great. So it doesn't warrant him to be out there as a liability defensively, right? And he can play catcher, and Tom Murphy is having a rough start to his season offensively. But you figure he's going to turn around, and when you look at the catcher position, you want to have a true catcher behind the dish for this Giants pitching staff. So it's kind of a weird situation to where Blake Sable, he does have versatility in playing multiple positions, but does he play a position, or does his bat warrant him to be in the lineup that just blows you away? Like, should he be in there over Mike Yastrzemski? Because you know that Mike Yastrzemski can bring the glove to the ballpark. That's something that you get with Mike Yastrzemski. You don't get the same. So Blake Sable in right field, absolutely not. But if you were able to put him in left and then switch over Conforto to right field, maybe you have something going there. But again, Blake Sable is kind of like this guy that is positionless. Like, he doesn't do one thing great. He does a lot of things averagely. So that's where I'm looking at with Blake Sable. And again, Skyler, thank you for the call. Really appreciate it. And we're going to get you ready for the Giants and the Diamondbacks going today. Game 3 of the 4-game set. You have Kyle Harrison on the mound. But really quick, let's take a look at where everything lies in these standings. I'll give you the standings update sponsored by the Alameda County Probation Department. Visit acpd.org today for a career that matters. And when you go to the standings right now, not much has really changed since last weekend when I gave you the last standings update. The Dodgers are not running away with it, so that's good to know. Giants are only 2.5 games back from first place right now. So again, when you look in the grand scheme of things in the standings, the Giants are, like 707 said, treading water. You just got to keep pace with the division, and when everything starts to click, then that's where the Giants will capitalize on that, especially in the starting rotation. But the Dodgers are 12-10 currently in first place. You have the Padres at 500, 11-11. Diamondbacks are 10-11, one game below 500. The Giants are right behind the Diamondbacks in fourth place at 9-12. Then you got the Rockies, the lone Rockies. It's a bad look. 4-15 for the Rockies, and they are riding a 5-game losing streak. And that is your standings update, again, brought to you by Alameda County Probation Department. We have the Giants coming up with Kyle Harrison on the mound. He's going to try to throw that fastball by anyone that is willing to swing at it. With the Arizona Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks throw out their ace of the staff, Zach Gallen. And we'll run through the lineup one more time. I like this lineup a lot. Matt Chapman is not in the game today. He will not be at third base. He is getting a day off because you do need to have a day off every so often. So the lineup is as follows. Jung-Hoo Lee is in center field batting leadoff. You have Lamont Wade Jr. Batting second at first base. Jorge Soler batting third in the DH spot. Michael Conforto batting fourth. Batting cleanup in left field. Wilmer Flores at the hot corner today. But again, Kyle Harrison is a strikeout fly ball hitter, so it might not hurt as much as you'd think. But Wilmer Flores, and he's serviceable at the hot corner as well, just not in long spurts. Wilmer Flores is batting fifth at third base. Patrick Bailey batting sixth behind the dish. You have Tyro Estrada batting seventh at second base. Mike Yastrzemski batting eighth. Again, he is .333 against Zach Gallen in his career, so he's batting eighth in right field. And Nick Ahmed is batting ninth for the San Francisco Giants at shortstop. So again, Lee, Wade, Soler, Conforto, Flores, Bailey, Estrada, Yaz, and Nick Ahmed. The Giants and the Diamondbacks coming up. Pregame is coming up here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Well, after last night's game, it was good to see the sun come up this morning. It is a beautiful day in San Francisco. Great day for a bounce-back Giants win. The Giants and the Arizona Diamondbacks here, the third game of a 4-game series. Hi, everybody. Dave Fleming along with John Miller. Today, the Giants are going to give the ball to Kyle Harrison. He's got to pitch well because we're pretty sure that Zach Gallen, the ace of the Diamondbacks, is going to pitch well. He always seems to against the Giants. We've got a full pregame show to come. It's the Giants and the Diamondbacks on this Saturday. Baseball on the radio.